Hello everybody and welcome to the workshop. My name is Gio the Tinkerer, and today, boy, do I have a very fun special episode just for you. I'm joined by some very fascinating and awesome people, and we're going to do a BT25 meta prediction tier list. That's right, we're going to think about what the decks are going to do, how they're going to shape up the format, and I have some fantastic people joining with me. Today on the show, we got Mr. Guz the Substitute, a fellow co-host with me over on the Lost in Translation Mon's Beat Break Breakdown podcast episodes. Guz, how you doing, buddy?
Mate, I'm on top of the world. I can't wait to talk more Digimon, because that's the one thing we all can't shut.
Yeah, exactly. It is our STEM. It is our, favorite piece of fortune and entertainment, and we love it and adore it so much. And speaking of being on top of the world, you are on top of two other guests on this very fascinating still image. Yeah. Hell yeah. So one of the guests that you're on top of is Mr. Tundra Tusk. He is the March regional winning champion, sort of kickstarting what is going to be the TS ensemble, and just absolutely a man amongst men. Tundra, how you doing, my friend?
We're about to get stuck into this shit real good.
I love how you got noise gated there at the start.
I know.
So legitimately didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm excited to talk about TS and everything else to come.
And I'm also very, very excited to have you here. And another person I'm excited to have, this gentleman is essentially the gallant savant. He is a nationals winning champion. He is a regionals winning champion. This guy is honestly a great fella to have around and a fantastic pilot of a lot of decks, specifically Gallantmon. But it is Gilmon Bread himself. Hello, Gilmon Bread.
Hello, when do we get EX13? I want to know.
You know what? No more support for you. You already have support. Enough.
Dual Gallon X, please.
No.
Please.
Oh. Yes, no.
Maybe Gilmon Bread is a card?
As an option, dual card option, it's Gilmon.
Delay, please.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be hilarious. But yes, today's video, we're going to be breaking down again. BT25 is introducing an assortment of different decks, from support going into TS, as well as the 3 Musketeers, which you already know. I've done a few deck profiles for it and some combo lines. But we're going to actually break down and see how they fit into the meta tier list and what that will shape everything around it. Are you boys ready to hop into it?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Alrighty. Let's head over to our trusty dandy desk over here. And for the viewers at home, we have the tier list broken down into 5 different tiers. Starting us off at the top one will be built different. Think of your tier 1 decks. These guys are just genuinely built diff to be able to handle anything the format's going to throw at us. From there, we've got fair income. 1.5 if you want to go from power scaling level. Strong decks can perform, might be able to top in a way in regionals, but they're still a little bit behind compared to the built diff. We then move towards mid-table Howl. This is like your tier 2 decks. You're pretty much stuck at mid-tables with these ones. You're going to be able to perform, but you might be stuck in the 50% win rate and struggle in that area, which happens. Finally, we move into the Tatslotter category, which is not sponsored, by the way. No gambling. No. And with Tatslotter, these are the decks that are your rogue tier, but also the decks that if you just hit the nuts, you hit the nuts. And it's there's nothing you can do. You've hit the numbers, you're winning Tatslotter. You hit the nuts, you're winning the game. That's where these categories go in. And finally, we have just a skill issue deck. These just play them at locals. They're not going to compete at regionals. Then they're going to struggle. And it's no shade to the decks. It's just some unfortunately do have a skill issue compared to everything above them.
Right, because I believe the entire premise of this list, as we were all discussing prior to this, was we're not looking at this as the deck overall. This is literally just how they could work at a regionals in a highly competitive environment.
Absolutely.
So if you see your favorite deck and it's in skill issue, don't take that personal. This might not be the best deck to take to win a regionals, a nationals, or whatever. So
exactly. This is very strictly how does this handle in the meta competitive format going forward. And it's not to say that a deck in skill issue can't do its thing. It might just be missing a piece or two, or it might be getting support down the line, which, and that's another premise with an asterisk, we'll go into it. There are going to be some decks we're going to discuss today that have had some support. There's been already leaks of future support, but currently we can't theorize what that future support would be because it's not going to be available for BT25. But they'll still be here for conversation, in their sense. All right, are you boys? Are you all ready to go? Shall we discuss our first deck for today?
I've got a list to put, like, well, not a list, but a deck to put straight into skill issue.
Well, okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Is it the first one on the list, or do we? Is that like, can it wait?
I can wait.
I'll keep it as a surprise because there are a few surprise picks here as well we're going to be chatting about. But the first deck had its release coming out very soon with the starter deck as well as BT25. And that is going to be the Glowing Dawn deck. So that's coming out. And I'm curious to know where you guys are thinking of where Glowing Dawn will be placed. I'll start with you, Gilmon. You reckon built different?
Yeah, built different.
Oh, wow.
Just with the games we tested, where I'd take out all your security, you had none left, drop a rookie, use Monarch Lizard as an option just to attack you for game was dumb.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I did showcase that in a deck profile with a wombo combo that the deck can do. It's pretty cool. But so you
mentioned Tropmon going crazy with returning things from trash.
Right.
Sweet Tropmon. Best beat break character ever.
Oh, don't know, man. Gekomon is there, so
We'll have our own, I guess.
What do you think, Gus? In terms of what you've seen so far?
well. So for us, just for not to spoil how the cake is made, so to speak. For us, at the end of this week, I believe it is, BT25 is going to be legal, and then in less than a month, it's going to be legal at a regionals for us here in Oceania. Yep. So that doesn't feel like a lot of time to get a lot of very real practice in for a deck that's going to be that new. Now, we did see deck Junomon pop up out of nowhere and absolutely dominate at this year's nationals for the last season that just passed for the 25 to 26. So it's not without reason to say that it couldn't do quite well. I just think that it might just have a recency bias to it, right? It's new, it's powerful, there's immunities, there's some OTK combos and things of that nature. And I think it might catch some people off guard. And I definitely think that rogue element, which we'll see with some of these other decks, by the way, it will show up as a, oh, surprise, I'm going to get you. But I can't see this getting out of the Fed income to mid-table hell spot. Because I think if you're not putting in the practice, you're going to be stuck in mid-table or lower. Fair enough. If you can seriously, and it is quite a consistent deck, it's very dangerously consistent, it's very good, it could hit Fed income quite easily. But topping the whole thing, I don't know, there's a practice question there for the amount of time that people are going to have to play with these cards. For me, I think it will land in mid-table fairly easily, but that's just because of the time factor. Like, usually when we've seen other videos of other people, even when I've done interviews for both Tundra and for Gilmon Bread with their respective wins at regionals and Nats and other placings and things of that nature, they've even themselves been like, I've been practicing this for at least a month.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're going to be able to get that with the beat break as yet. The data squad stuff's a little bit different because it's already using the pre-existing archetypes, which again we'll cover when that happens. But for this one, because there isn't something pre-existing, there are no other cards of this type that do this thing outside of maybe DM, if you can even go that far. I think it's going to be mid-table.
Yep. Fair enough. And Tundra, any additional points you want to add to it?
So, honestly, I'm going to be taking Gilmon Bread's side a little bit, where I do think that there's a lot of things that are going really well for it. I think it will take very little time for the deck to be solved with how little options they have at their disposal. So obviously we're getting one sort of trickle of support in BT25, along with the starter deck that's also releasing the day prior to the pre-release. What my thoughts are is the fact that yes, you sort of have you have a very solid defensive line that also does result in them battling. Battle is by far the best removal in the game now.
No, 100%.
Yeah,
it gets through every single thing in terms of protection, and a couple of the decks to beat in the format have either protection from Digimon effects or dual protection. So while I do think that yes, it's going to be like fairly new, the effects are not so far out of the way where it's not something that we haven't seen before, and I think dual cards kind of do give it that edge.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think it's probably in 1.5. I think people can pull it off, and I think it will be meta relevant in terms of the competitive scene, especially just because your memory efficiency is really, really good. You have some really crazy combo lines that you can do, not just with the options, but with the Digimon themselves. And they have really sticky bodies that they are going to struggle to remove.
Yep.
So that being said, I definitely think that there is some room for it to grow still, and yes, it'll take time. But considering, if we were to compare it to something like TS, we have so many choices,
Yeah.
Like, I think if we're talking about strictly deck construction, it's going to be fairly easy to put something together and just have it do its thing. But sure, the monthly period of between regional events, I think, is where people are going to refine it, and I don't think it'll take long for them to do it.
Yep.
There's also, the deck has Barrier and Rainbow Syndrome, where it just gets access to almost everything, which is also something very important with the deck.
Very true. Very
So
true.
battle does not affect it as much as people would think.
See, I think Glowing Dawn has the capacity to be a fair dinkum, and I'm happy with the fair dinkum placement. I don't think it goes into built different just yet, but not for the reasons that it's not capable of being built different. I think it's being spread out, being that Rainbow Syndrome is actually what's keeping it and gatekeeping it from built different. Because when you look at the new searches coming in from BT25, both in the Lylemon as well as Gekomon, they search one beat break, I think it's a Glowing Dawn or beat breaking trait, and then the other one, but color restricted. And so when we think about the current lists, which will be a bit of both Monarch and Miragegaogamon in combination, the searcher can kind of gatekeep itself and prevent itself from finding everything you need. But also one of the biggest factors the deck has, and I was actually through testing found it is a bit too tamer reliant if you go the Monarch Lizard route. But if you go the Miragegaogamon route with the Lyle mount, you can kind of avoid that and you're more security reliant to kind of offset it. But unfortunately, the Miragegaogamon line is more fragile. So you have this limitations of both. Like, both are powerful, but both then have their own inherent weaknesses that the other one does cover, but you sacrifice consistency for it. And there's not enough pieces yet to offset that lack of consistency, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So
it's got its limited card pool, like Tundra mentioned, right? It's that weird spot, right?
Yep.
It's really, really good, but if it had those few extra pieces, right? And this is what we saw with Medusamon back when it originally introduced into the card sphere, right? We had basically a third of a deck, and it was still scary. It wasn't really going very far, but it was still very scary. And then when she eventually got the rest of her pieces, well, we already know how that worked out.
Yeah. No, exactly. And so I don't think it's ready to be at built different yet. I don't think it won't get there. I definitely feel when it gets more support, 100% it's going to enter in that built different, because the current pieces it has access to are insane pieces. They're very, very powerful. A Tradersmon being immune, being able to give itself immunity just about anytime it attacks, is a blocker and ability to do sec +2 attack, +1 attack. It's a solid card. It has access to great tools. The Habikiri line is a OTK from 5 if you hit the nuts. Decks that have access to that shouldn't be ignored. I just don't think it's ready to be built different, but it does flirt in a line between fair dinkum and mid-table howl, and I think the mid-table howl level is from the lack of experience that one will pilot the deck, because it is actually somewhat complex of a deck. It is combo reliant. Yeah.
Sorry, you go, bro.
I was gonna say it's combo reliant, but also it has one flaw that is actually kind of a flaw I found with the DM engine, and that is when you do get your tamers out, you unfortunately, once you put cards underneath your tamer, you don't have access to them unless you are running a Shinegreymon to then get rid of it to then try and fetch it back. It's very restrictive if you accidentally start tucking the wrong cards underneath, which you have zero control, since it takes from the top of your deck rather than from your hand most times. And a poor pilot who might have accidentally put the wrong card in will probably find themselves like bricked more than often than not.
You'd also probably find a poor pilot trying to digivolve anything they can just to get a card or to keep going. While I feel like this, you have to be very careful with what you do, because sometimes you use the wrong level 4 and you kind of just hate it.
Exactly. That's exactly why that's exactly why I reckon it could find itself in mid-table howl, because of that level of pilot necessity too. But which is why, like, in the middle of the pack, fair dinkum fits right well. Maybe towards the bottom end of fair dinkum, but it is a fair dinkum deck at the moment.
Yeah, it does have that secret buff as well to it, where it does actually have Koki art, which we all know is fire. So, like, it's... Hey, go to the card, I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Koki, if you're watching this, please leave a comment.
That's brilliant.
We love you, bro.
We love you, bro. Alrighty, we're going to move on to the next card, because we do have quite a handful to get through. The next one is, this card did get one piece of support in BT25 that sort of surprised everybody. It was definitely not on my bingo playlist, but that was in the new Ghoulmon to support the Abbadamon deck. Yeah. So, Abbadamon getting a bit of support, well, in one card. Do you think that's enough to change where Abbadamon is, which is kind of currently... honestly, I think in recency, it's been a mid-table howl, maybe Tatslotto, like that weird Tatslotto vibe. But do you think the Ghoulmon's enough to save it?
No. The deck is below skill issue.
You reckon skill issue?
It doesn't do anything. It is a horrible deck. You verse Shine, they lock you out. You verse Gallantmon, they're just gonna kill you through battle. You verse anything and they just screw you over, like puppets. They're just gonna OTK you if you do anything.
Right.
It's a very good jump scare deck if you don't have the matchup knowledge, I'll be honest. I think in a best of one format, having that jump scare is probably a very good thing. But since we play a best of 3 format, and there are better tools now to get around Bado's various tricks, including the fact that Medushamon, which of course is going to be coming up, can tuck away a lot of the very important pieces that a Bado needs. It just doesn't feel like it's ever really going to go the distance.
Yeah.
Solomon.
It's probably going to have to be a locals deck. I don't think you can ever take this to a regionals and expect to win the thing with a Abbadamon. It's just not getting the results. And one card, unfortunately, Ghoulmon or otherwise, is just not going to be that tipping point.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think there's much to discuss in the deck, to be honest, because it doesn't really change.
Yeah, so fortunately the one card edition doesn't really save a Bado just yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone does manage to do the surprising. Again, best of 1 perhaps. We are playing a best of 3 format, and that does change a lot of where some decks get placed. And there is one deck in particular, when we get to it, I do want to discuss that difference as to why it might be placed higher in other regions, but for us it might actually get placed a bit lower. But
I mean, the other thing here, right, is like, so I'm just looking at Ghoulmon right now. It's a Digimon effect thing, right? Like, there are a lot of Digimon effect immunities going around, and more are coming up.
Yeah.
It's not going to change what Abbado was kind of already doing. The only difference is you can play out a Ghoulmon for 1 memory and then go in for a 12k swing, which, again, you're just going to get absolutely slapped down by any of the, like, the Chaosmon effect, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about later, eats this thing alive. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we are.
So, unfortunately, Abbado does not have legs in this current format.
That's fine. All right, moving on. Accel got some support. in a new line with a new level 3, level 4, and a level 5 to support both Accel and D-Brigade. But if we fixate on Accel for now, which is like the whole Chaosmon and Accel line, what do we reckon? Does that support bring Accel into the limelight now? Because it's got some pretty cool top-end cards.
It's good, but I still feel like it's in a middle table hell. Because there is still heaps of ways to shut it down. It's really good though. Like, if you don't shut it down, you're just going to be crying most of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's got some smoother pieces now. But I still think we're trying to put a hexagon into a circle hole. Right? Like, it's still a bit rough. We still need to sand those edges down to make it that circle that it needs to be. Having said that, it has done some topping recently. It has actually shown up, and it has done some serious work. It's just one of those things where you need to make one deck that needs 2 different top-end pieces to then do on one big thing. You're going to stumble over yourself at some point in the game. There's already a natural hurdle within that deck. As someone who plays Millennia, I know it very well. So there is just that sort of, and then do you have it or not? And when we're looking at the ones that are going to be falling into either fair dinkum or higher, they don't naturally have those same hurdles.
Yeah.
There's negative friction within the deck. It's just gas.
Yeah.
Like, the Deuce is just going to trash this. Do you know what I mean?
Like that's a fair assessment, and I definitely do want to highlight when it comes to mid-table hell. It's not to say that they can't again find themselves topping. This it's a much more of a Herculean effort. It's actually going to come from both luck factor where your cards are being seen. Likewise, with a pilot behind it, is what will then bring a mid-table hell kind of deck tier up into the upper echelon. Whereas in Fair Dinkum Built Different, it actually is less of a luck factor. It takes less luck because it would have those pieces innately there to kind of get you there. And Built Different is just, bro, you can slap it in and baby, here she goes. But Tundra, I know you've been tinkering a little bit with Accel as well. And any thoughts on this before we move on to our next card?
Honestly, it's mostly just a lot of theory crafting at this point. Chaos, while it does have a lot of like interesting top-end pieces that you can almost say that it's toolboxy in a way now. There's 3 different Chaosmons now that all do different effects. The Volderarm in particular, I want to highlight along with the promo Chaos. Both of these 2 cards specifically are kind of like a big middle finger to a lot of decks that want to be playing by effects. Chaosmon in itself, the promo specifically, it gives something minus 20k.
Yep.
And it's immune to effects as well after DNA. It's nothing to scoff at. I do think that the new rookie through to level 5 that we did get seems to be where a lot of its like memory efficiency will lie. You can essentially just digivolve into a Tankdra and just start your combo. If you rip the right cards off the top deck, and even then you can have them, fairly like pre-set up because the Commandramon can also allow you to put those cards on back on top after you do your when moving effect. So I definitely think there's an angle. Do I think that it's going to be just as competitive as everything else? It's a hard question because honestly, not a lot of people have really been looking at Chaosmon yet.
Yeah. I
haven't really been able to discuss it with other players. But listen, we have cards that are seeing like Mega Digimon Assembly is being used currently in ExMaquina.
Yeah.
I think there's some really interesting angles that you can take with Chaos. But is the memory efficiency enough from this new little line that we got to supplement the other 2 that we have in Accel? That in which sort of lies the issue.
See, I think it's definitely a line that's going to give more support. I do agree. It's the top end, those the heavy carries for the deck. but it does need like I feel like another, well, less of a line, and I feel just more tamer / options. Do you know what I mean? Like some supporting cards to really bolster it, because it feels the lines itself can do what they wanted to do. Just the lack of support in support cards is probably what's preventing it from being as smooth, as consistent as you like.
It just feels like another Omnimon deck and a Alphamon or Yukon deck.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like there's already other decks doing kind of more.
Now, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if, like, when we get to the mid-tier update, because, like, again, mid-meta, we'll do another one of this just to see how the decks are tracking, because this is just a prediction. It would be nice to see if we end up being proven wrong and this ends up being higher up, because I can see an argument, again, of it going into fair income territory, just because it's still a new line that adds a bit of consistency to the deck that needed it badly. But there's also the argument of it wasn't enough, therefore it's a Tatslotto or a skill issue. But for now, like, a middle of the pack doesn't seem to be a wrong call. And I think that's a firm place. But its counterpart, the D-Brigade line, you know, because those cards do support D-Brigade. D-Brigade, right? 100% built different, correct? Yeah? Yeah? Are we agreeing? It could be built different. No, sorry, Gabby.
Oh, rip police.
So
I'm just breaking my cars.
Before we get to that, I'll just say that for Accel in general, like, yes, the -20 is really, really good and very, very attractive from the Chaosmon. If you're really that interested in massive board egging, you're going to be doing TS Jupiter loops. But as for D-Brigade, that's it. It's very fun, and I remember a time when it dominant. I remember when it was able to run around and put an incredible amount of pressure on the board, just on everyone in general. But she's fallen off. I'm sorry, Gabby. There's no amount of cope in the world that's going to push this thing further than where it currently is.
We're in the level 6 waiting room, bro.
It is. It needs a new top end.
It's like the tamers need an overhaul, or you need to stop this mind link bullshit. It's just not. Like, if I could be honest, like, there needs to be permanent value on the board somewhere, because now with the increased amount of removal or on Digimon / option cards, this thing's gone, and you're losing lens and all your this, that's, and the others. It's just, you're hemorrhaging cards and value, and the only way to get them back is from an egg, which means you have to push up through breeding in order to start actually regaining those pieces you lost, and that's only to the bottom of the deck, if memory serves. So you're just kind of stuck once you lose the lead. You just can't really rebuild quick enough, and I don't think board spam's the way to do it.
No, I agree, and I think one of the biggest weaknesses that D-Brigade will have is in fact that there are certain decks that actually currently exist in the meta that are very top tier. So we're talking about puppets would I mean, as a puppet player, God, if I versus a D-Brigade, I'm like, oh, that's a very nice board. So now we have a lot of board pieces, and I'm just going to do minus Oblivion DP. Your protection can't save you because you're DP minus. The second thing you've got to deal with is going to be a lot of Crimson Blaze. That is rampant. We've got red hybrids. We're gonna have Marsmon. We're gonna have a lot of red-based decks. That Crimson Blaze will be rampant, which is kind of an unfortunate. I'm gonna cry. And then finally, we have something like even Imperialdramon Fighter Mode. When you play by effects, does something. Chaosmon, when you play by effects, it does something. We also have Omnimon Adventure. It's another board-wide clear. And Brigadramon just himself needs. It's more like you said. It's just level 6 waiting room. The new line's cool. New support's great. But it needs another level 6. And until then, it's just a skill issue.
Yep, for sure.
Now, moving on. Some level 6s that I don't think it's a level 6 issue, but we did get a lot of Angel support. And one of the decks that absolutely adores Angels getting support is Dominimon. And in 3-grade Angels. What are our thoughts on 3-grade Angels?
Put it back in Tatslotto.
Tatslotto?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. That one's Tatslaughter.
So that's on Satslotto. Okay.
Yeah. Just for you, Flex.
Look, it's uncertain how well the Ascension mechanic is going to function. And again, with a lot of the new dual cards coming out, there is not really a lot that the mini can do to prevent that. And we're also seeing a massive increase in D-Digivolve, right? If you have a Dimini stack, you're out.
Yeah.
Any Atmon deck, just D-Digivolve it. Gone.
Nah, bro, just hard slam it for 12 and say, send it, boys.
You know, no joke.
There is a gentleman in this call right now who has hard slammed a Dominimon on me because he was sick of me D-Digivolve.
I am guilty for doing that play, yes. But because of my bro, think about it. Let's think about it. Like, hold on. You can't D-Digivolve a single stack, and Domini has beautiful protection on all my Mastemon pieces. Like, why wouldn't I? I'm just saying.
Damn straight.
But no, you're right. I think the new Ascension stuff though is cool, and the fact that they could trash and play it, I think it does accelerate Dominimon. I think 3 Great Angels have now a new acceleration piece that can sort of warrant a very wide board very quickly and out of just about nowhere. It's cool. High risk, high reward though, because if you get into your pieces and your opponent doesn't find the answer in D-Digivolve, then yeah, sweet, you got it. Hence the Tatslotto idea. But yeah, no, I don't until I feel like it's missing like maybe that kind of weird, maybe for 1 turn protection against D-Digivolve, which some decks do have, or maybe 1 turn give you Digimon can't be affected by Digimon effects, might be pretty cool. And then we'll just see 3 Great Angels like skyrocket up, but it's missing. It's not enough to like just pull it out from a niche that it's fallen itself into.
I mean, look, the closest you're going to get to that is the new Clavis Angemon.
Yeah. Well, he protects himself. That's the thing.
It's sort of like redundant then, because then you're either just having Domini or you're having Clavis.
Yeah.
It's too slow.
Yeah, it's Angels. I like Ascension. I like the direction the design team's going in. We need to see where this design path for them takes them, because right now this is like a half of an idea. I need to see the other half. Otherwise, you're just better off playing Lucemon at this stage.
Yeah. No, I agree. And without moving forward, Angels, despite them supporting 3 Great Angels, they do support another deck. Now, I think, personal bias, this deck is absolutely built different. 100%. Slam it, no worries. Instant Nats winner right there. But
I just want to
I'll
agree
leave it to
that
you guys.
built different is mainly because we don't have as much Tamer hate as Levia kind of got hit with the Cerberus engine.
Yes.
So this is good if it becomes a very Tamer heavy meta, aka if you get things like more hybrids showing up, which the blue and yellow hybrid cope red hybrid pretty fast, so you want to get rid of it.
Yeah, if you pivot back to the starter deck builds for Mastemon, when it was able to use the Chaosmon 4-down mode, 2 snipe tamers, or even the promo 2 snipe tamers, this is going to be very relevant. Maste, Black War, and Moon Millennium, basically all to the same sort of degree there. Being able to snipe tamers is a very, very good thing. We're also seeing that with the Destromons. In the Galactic packages there as well. Like, those are having such a big impact for killing tamers. Mastemon itself being built different is correct, but it's built different wrong, not built different right.
Yeah.
Because it's still a DNA deck that has its origins in BT8, where you need to have 2 lines to do a thing. It's gotten better at it, but it's not at a point where you're going to be able to go, all right, cool, here's a turn 2 OTK, like Geo did to me the other night with his bloody 3 Musketeers. Right? Mustae's not hitting that. You can have a turn 2 Mustang and put someone to no security. I've seen Geo also do that. However, I do not see it actually being able to go the distance at all.
Yeah.
The new stuff is just too good.
Yeah. Sandra, anything to chime in before I think that this ends up going into where it should be?
We know it. We know it's a gatekeep deck. Unfortunately,
at least Simon can go a tier higher.
Exactly. So, one of the biggest issues, we didn't actually speak about this in Dominimon. So we do have Junomon to talk about for both of these deck lists, right? Junomon, for some fucking reason, is not an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Bless. Brilliant design choices.
You have no idea how molding I am because of that. Like molding. It's a great card. Juno's a great card, which we will be discussing very, very shortly about. I agree. But she's not in archetype at all.
The fire is great as well. So all of you angel geeks that just want to be relying on vaccines.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
You're out.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you do have options for your bottom ends in Master and Domini now, like with the level 4s and level 3s, all that stuff. But it just doesn't cut it. You guys need DNA specific choices, or you just need more vaccines for Domini. You're just not gonna get the TS support, and it is what it is.
That's a fair point, and like
If
to add to it.
If Mastemon was in the story at all,
don't.
Maybe you would have got something.
Hey, isn't there DLCs? You never know. We don't know. Mirai's in the game. You don't know. I'm full on snorting copium right now.
BT27, all DLC confirmed for set drive. Another TS set in a row. Let's go.
I'm pretty sure Time Stranger has had all its DLC revealed.
Damn it. But yeah, to add to the conversation now, Mastemon, I do agree, she has access to a lot of fantastic tools. When we talk about starter deck Master and promo Master, phenomenal against a tamer-centric meta. We are going to enter a tamer-centric meta. That is happening. The problem though with both of those decks, and I know because I've punched my face into the wall trying to solve this, she is too reliant on DNA digivolving to tamer hate. That's where the failure is. It's not like Secret Master in the CS engine or something where you just need 2 levels so you can kind of like create very wonky, janky things. You need to DNA to do it. Now you can argue, what about the KDA Master bottom end and then you choose Promo Master to top end? That's a cool idea, but they hit Dark Animals in the recent ban list. So now that has gone like out the window, and that was probably the fastest way to DNA Master. The new stuff is cool. The new stuff presents a very fascinating pathway where you do a weird Niaromon trash-centric Master that does, on the highest of high rolls, OTK from 5, and it's scary good. Like, scary good. It's just hyper not consistent because you're not drawing, you're using the Niaro egg instead. The Abbadamon is like 50-50 because you're not running angels, you're not using TK to set up your security. It's very Gumba. It's high risk, high reward, and it's just not there. So if you focus on just standard, natural Mirai DNA, when you hit it, cool. She's so strong. But she really is bricky, and that's why mid-table Howler is probably going to get at. There is an argument where she could enter Fair Dinkum, but then when we start talking about Fair Dinkum decks, we're talking about they're fast, they've got access to Digivolve, which then cucks Master straight away.
See, I feel like if you would just add an EX10 Lucy Chaos and have Scapegoat, you could probably put it to Fair Dinkum. It can do quite a lot.
It can. It's the Lucy Chaos mode, and this is like when I'm going to be doing like a deep deck dive into Master because I actually really want to do that content. But there are some elements where going too out of archetype cucks it a little bit, but it's definitely in contention. But there are other level 5s that are very funny. They fill in that slot too. Cough. There's like the new Shakurmon's really funny for it. But speaking of Junomon and how she can find her place into both of these decks, albeit to not as much power, what about Junomon herself in her own OTK version?
Well,
Junomon
found a loop, I think. So scary. Very scary.
Yeah, Tundra and I have also been on the bandwagon where there is like a big OTK with this list as well. Yeah, it's got a pretty cool combo. But do we think it's enough to like enter in and shape up the meta?
I think it is. I think it might be built different just because it has so many different plays, and it's a very hard deck to learn, but once you know all the plays, you can almost counter someone's play.
Ooh.
You can just remove everything.
The important thing here for Junomon specifically is that the card does have security tucking as its main form of removal on the Junomon card itself. This is very important when we're looking at things that are going to be fucking around like Millenni, right? Like any of the Shine Grey stuff, right? Anything that is a big scary threat that is still vulnerable to Digimon effects usually wants to be deleted or something of that effect. While there is still some leave the battlefield protection stuff that is still running around, which is awesome, Junomon can just sidestep all of that by just going no, and then the security gets trashed after the fact.
Yeah.
So then you're guaranteeing that stack to be removed. There is this additional level of lethality here, which some Digimon will just not have protection for.
Yeah, I mean, chaos degrading effects are really, really potent because we have protection from being bounced to hand or deck, not to security. It's when it leaves battle area protects that. I love versing decks like that. Again, Mastemon does chaos degrading all too well. But I do want to, I really am curious to peek into the mind of Tundra. You are essentially the TS aficionado. Again, you took TS, specifically Central Town, at a time when no one was touching that card and running a card that no one even thought of to even run in their decks. And you took that to a win Regis. And I know you've been hyping TS. Thoughts on Junomon, and I guess specifically Junomon OTK?
I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that Juno is tier 1. Genuinely no doubt whatsoever. This can be built 2 different ways. Well, actually, theoretically 3. So one thing to mention about Juno is that it doesn't have to be specifically angels.
Yep.
It does allow you to play out any Iliad trait Digimon that's within the TS archetype.
Yep.
That is very relevant. So if we're talking about strictly angels and its OTK variant, I think Juno in a best of 1 format is fucking insane. In a best of 3 format, it has enough options that you can change it, change your play style midway, into your round 2, round 3, that it is potent enough to keep up with everything else that's in the meta. Now, in terms of playstyle wise, we have OTK. We also have Juno Control, which uses more of like the yellow-black support, being Minerva, the Clavis Andromon, a couple of other bits and pieces. I think it's really interesting to sort of take it in that direction. Do I think it's going to be the best out of between OTK? Probably not. But you can also take like a zoo variant, which is fucking it's the shit that I love about TS in general. You just go wide and say good luck. I think its flexibility warrants it being and built different, especially with its lethality. It'll be really interesting to see how people take it. At the moment, they're using stuff like the Nyara egg, cracking security, getting a bunch of memory, and just DNAing twice and winning the game. So, and I think it seems to be having pretty good matchups into what we would consider to be top decks. So we'll see how it goes.
The other thing too, right? Like, you got the play cost reduction on Juno. Very importantly, you can play this thing from behind. You got the on play with the Sectuck. And I know we did mention, at least I did mention, that a lot of Digimon are having on body immunity to Digimon effects. So maybe your mileage will vary on this Juno, but I definitely think you should be keeping your eyes on it. If not for the card art, then at least for its scary play pattern in the game.
Yeah, I do agree. I think built different. It has, and I'll wrap up the key points. Powerful OTK potential. Has a pivot to mid-range board wide if it needs to, has a comeback mechanic with a fantastic board removal, and most importantly, it's TS. And TS, we know, has access to so many different cook builds, any kind of tools you want. You can actually really tailor it to such a perfect degree that Juno herself is, I think a wonderful fit, wonderful addition to the deck. And like again, speaking of and the deck that she can be an addition to, would be Jupitermon. And Jupitermon's getting quite a bit of support with 2 Chaosmons entering into the fray, as well as I guess Junomon as well. Now, this in terms of Jupitermon, when we're talking about it, I'm not referring to Jupiter Ruin Loop. I have a separate thing when we talk about Ruin Loops later on. So this is to not think about Ruin Loop, but specifically Jupitermon with TS or Jupiter Control. Where do we think Jupiter's going in now with access to Choose and all that stuff?
I think it's the same as Juno, to be honest. They have very similar ways to do things by manipulating their own security and your opponent's, which is very scary.
I'm just having a quick reread of some of the AGO chooses, so I'll give the floor to Tundra.
I believe it would be the blue, red, and the promo one, which are the best for the deck.
Yeah. So, Jupiter, if we're talking about strictly Jupiter, Jupiter can now OTK from 4.
Yep.
Using the blue AGO choose. That blue AGO choose, in combination with a card that's not being seen in play in Jupiter at the moment, is Temple of Beginnings.
Right, I've seen that not many people are running that. You're right. Okay, so how does that work?
So, part of the combo, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to rip it off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've looked back into it. But Temple of Beginnings is essentially strips your top source.
Yep.
In order to, let me see if I can bring it up real quick. It strips your top source of an AGO choose or a Jupiter to put it into top security.
Right.
So,
and then you can decode AGO, grab it, and all that stuff. Yeah, okay.
Well, that decode is not going to specifically trigger it.
Okay.
It's, in essence, what it's meant to do is the AGO choose will see you digivolve. If you have 3 or fewer security cards, you will be able to unsuspend. So with that in mind,
I get you. Yeah, okay.
Swing with your Agiomon into security. If you die in security, you can barrier.
You die in real life,
or like, or Inori will see you remove your security, digivolve into AGO choose blue. He will de-digivolve and then he'll unsuspend. You go into Jupiter, do Jupiter things, swing with the Jupiter, do all that good stuff. Temple of Beginnings, go down your stack. You could go back into another Jupiter, or you could Temple of Beginnings again. Go into another AGO choose blue, unsuspend, etc., etc. You get the point.
Rinse, repeat, yeah.
This AGO choose is now a very, very interesting, almost toolboxy archetype. Obviously, you still have the Sec +1 AGO choose. There's plenty of ways that you could play that line, but being able to kill someone from 4 just in Jupiter alone, with it having plenty of control pieces and its speed and memory efficiency, is freaking nuts.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be. I think the Junomon stocks will rise a bit instead of Nyaro, but you can make the argument to run like the Nyaro Pulse toolbox. I just think that like the new Elecmon and the new Agiomon they're fairly useful, but the memory efficiency is still it's still freaking nuts.
Right. So it's basically just gained a lot of consistency, and I do like obviously Jupiter Control was a solid list and solid power. But I do agree. I think with the new Chaosmon, it's now unlocked a little bit more consistency, which will make it more potent. And I think we're going to have a separation now, because what kept Jupiter firmly in conversation for so long was the Jupiter Ruin Loop. And now, I mean, that's still there. You still have access to that, which, again, we'll talk to Ruin Loops in moments eventually. But, like, at least Jupiter Control can finally stand on its own 2 feet. It has access to now Junomon, which you can splash it out, because when you have security removal, you get to play something else. You play out the Agiomon, then you go Agiomon sick anyway, go into the red-yellow AGO choose, give yourself rush attack. And so, like, I think that's, like, a little bit of additional elements it has that is just going to add a bit more power to Jupiter control. And let's not cut the cookie too bad, but it has DP minus, and not a lot of decks like being DP minus till the end of their turn. It is quite potent.
Well, mind you, Juno can also it plays at 8 cost or lower, so all of your AGO Choose forms can be played out.
Oh, that's gross! Really? Okay.
The yellow and red one in particular does not have an on-play effect, but you have both of the new forms that do have an on-play. AGO Choose blue. I mean, like you're not going to be getting rush. You will not be getting rush, so that's the only downside. But being able to AGO Choose specifically does not require itself to be the unsuspend. It is any Digimon can unsuspend.
And then if you have Dan and Cannon at the end of turn, just suspend game. Yeah.
There are plenty of interesting combos that this can do. I do think that potentially with some of the stuff that's at like the top of the meta might still probably be better than like regular Jupiter. But I think you have to make an argument between, is Jupiter Ruin actually the better version? And honestly, my take is that Ruin Loop is actually going to drop.
I guess like if we're talking about Ruin Loops, we might as well just bring up the card now, right?
Well, just before we move on, big boy, I do want to say that it is worth pointing out that the cards that are coming in for the new set for Jupiter are actually going to help its overall consistency in the recovery aspect. One of the things that Jupiter did run into as a double-edged sword previously was that it trashed its own security like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Now there's a way to get security in order to do more of its attacks.
Yeah.
The other thing about the new AGO chooses is that it changes the deck from being that one-trick pony relying on Inori to Digivolve up and to DP neg and the blah 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 blah, right? Which again we're about to talk to with the whole Ruin Loop. It now gives that measure of flexibility, whereas before it's like, oh, okay, cool. I have to kill this Millenniumon. I have to DP neg it. It's then going to interfere and it's going to do dumb stuff. Now you can pivot into the AGO choose blue, de-digivolve the Millennium. You're now around that problem. Don't worry about it. Remove the Chimeramon that's still there underneath in most cases. So you actually getting the ability to have that versatility that TS is known for, and be able to pivot. Even if you can't go for the OTK, you can then guarantee your opponent doesn't have a horse in the race.
Yeah.
Not to mention you can run the Juno with it as well.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah. All right. Well, then, if obviously we've got Jupiter having this consistency, then raises into, I guess, Ruin Loop. Now, there are 2 Ruin Loops that exist currently. One that is Jupiter Ruin Loop, and then we've got the Shinegreymon Ruin Loop with just Shinegreymon itself. I think either way, my way of prefacing this is I wish they're kind of in their own tier, in my opinion. But I'm just going to put them in Tatslotto because if you hit the nuts, I think Jupiter Ruin Turn 2 is like the strongest deck in the format. Hands down, no questions asked. Because it's just a Turn 2 Ruin Loop. How do you stop that? You can't.
Especially with the decode. If they have decode and you remove it, it's just worse for you.
Now, I would put in Built Different, but I think Built Different caters to it being consistent. Whereas Ruin Loops, I mean, maybe the Shinegreymon version with Marcus and stuff can be a bit more consistent. But then when we get to Shinegreymon, we have to actually chat about its natural consistency. That's why I feel like Tatslotto just hits it right.
It would be Tatslotto. Shine's just bricking always now, I've been noticing. And then same with that version of Jupiter. If your opponent can just go in the back all the way to something really strong, it doesn't affect them. They can just kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, I went up TS Jupiter with the Ruin top end at Sydney Regis. It was probably one of the easiest matchups that I've ever had. Actually, like with Millennium of all things, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was basically free. So for me, yes, thank you. For me, it was pretty easy. I like to play a fair bit of weird purple stuff, so I always get rewarded when things die. There are some decks I think that will struggle against it, but I mean, it's not really locking out enough anymore. Like, because you would sit there and go, oh, cool, well, what about Medusa? It's like, well, there are Medusa players that certain Dimetros that have 6k power.
Yeah.
Andre himself mentioned he's using the Central Town option in his deck in order to get just above that one lot of Ruin Mode DP threshold, that 5k, right? Getting above it, making sure that he gets to keep his board. There are other players out there that are thinking very keenly about Ruin Mode and about making sure they're not getting hit by that -5. -10, yeah, that sucks, but I definitely do consider that to be far scarier in anything that's using the new Shine Grey stuff.
Yep.
But I do feel that that's leaning more to Shine Grey Burst rather than to Shine Grey Ruin.
Yep.
Whatever the players decide will be what they decide, but I don't know. It's a very good card, but it's lost its boogeyman factor to me personally. I don't know about you guys.
And the price of Ruin Mode has dropped massively just to show how much people just don't care anymore about it.
Yeah.
I remember selling one for almost 100 for regular art. Yeah. Crazy.
I think the scariest time that I've seen this thing is when it's been used in Lucemon decks now.
Yeah, Lucemon's a whole different thing now as well.
Yeah, exactly, which we'll get to in a moment. One thing to add, I guess, for Ruin Mode, and this is, I think for me, as a puppet player, I don't want to verse Jupiter Ruin. As when you play puppets, it's actually the perfect counter to puppets, because if you want to get to Ruin Mode, it forces the puppet player to go into Kakeshi in the back, and when you do that, you're losing the opportunity to do the whole Mirai Rond combo play, because you need to promote as a Shumon instead. But that's like Ruin Loop versus puppets. As Musketeers, on the other hand, no, I agree. I don't think I have an issue against Ruin, because Blackguardo's 6k. I'll just sit in Blackguardo, promote, and be like, yeah, anyway, 4-cost Evo and a Bill Star, Digivolve.
Yep.
And I think, no doubt. I think that's where, like, why Ruin, as it goes down to Tatsloto, I still think turn 2 Ruin Loop in Jupiter is still, again, disgustingly powerful, because I don't think many decks can set up, like turn 1, I think they're, if the Jupiter Loop player is going sec at first, they'll just hatch Digivolve in the back, go into Adriel in the back, and that's it. And then if they just hit the nuts on their turn 2, then yeah, you're playing from behind from there, because you're not going to be getting into that Kakeshi or that Blackguardo or that Demetra in raising, unless you're anticipating that they're going to turn 2 Ruin. So you wouldn't be coming into like turn 3, but at that point they would have done the -10k level if they get hit the nuts. And I think that's why Jupiter Ruin, at least in the Tatsloto side, if it goes, it's like a low-key instant win. But there's answers now, and I think
we'd see it topping more if it mattered.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one of the key answers, I think, is a deck that probably has gotten a bit more additional support now because of the new level 6s that are coming through, and that is just TS Super Friends, where they don't care about the like low end sometimes. They can just hard slam their level 6s that are definitely above 5k. But TS Super Friends, with the new tools accessible to them, we're talking about Junomon, we're talking about Mars, Ceres, all that stuff. Where do we see Super Friends coming into the picture now?
Oh my god, there's so many moving parts for this deck to keep track of as the opponent, right? Because I don't know which of these 12 motherfuckers you're bringing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, we can make an argument for best in class. That's fine. Good luck with that. You're just kind of spoiled for choice. Like, Minerva's definitely one of the best. I think Callus is a rising star as well, personally. And the Juno of it all, like, I don't know, I wonder if, because there's so many choices for such a great top end, that's all got the black text alternate Digivolution costs, will players be able to find that new source that they need in order to break through other scarier meta-defining decks?
Right.
That's a pretty ominous question without a real answer, if I'm being for real, because I don't know, and Tundra's the expert. So, mate, what do you think?
Yeah, what do we see with TS Super Friends?
I fucking hate Super Friends.
Okay.
I think this is just a personal gripe, but your biggest downfall is the fact that you're neglecting the opportunity to digivolve up a full line, which already puts you in a position where you can really shoot yourself in the foot if your opponent knows how to play around your sixes. Every single different Olympus 12 Digimon has some kind of specific condition in order for it to reduce its play costs. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say that you can play around them all the damn time. It's not going to be possible. But the current roster of the Olympus 12, specifically that came out in this set, I do not think people need to be so worried. I think the first wave of Olympus 12s were definitely more power skewed in the way that they kind of want to facilitate the strategy more. The current Olympus 12, you have Vulcanusmon that really want to like play their options. Most of the time when you're playing a full Olympus 12 deck, you're not going to be playing options as much. You've got Bacchus that spits out levels 6k DP or lower, which ends up being a floodgate. It's probably pretty useful actually in TS like Olympus, just super friends. You've got Ceres that can give board protection now, which I think would be useful for super friends if the caveat of Ceres did not have to rely on your enemy's board being suspended. You do not have many Digimon suspensions in the top end apart from Marukimon and Bacchus. That's it.
I think there's the thing to add to the Ceres, and I know you and I were talking very heavily when it came to a lot of the new Iliad stuff. Ceres has one major flaw when it comes to, and I think massively when it comes to TS Super Friends. It only gives protection while your Digimon are suspended. And if you're pairing that up with Minervamon gives your team reboot, meaning they will unsuspend during your opponent's unsuspend phase. Your immunity is gone. They're not immune anymore. So they're vulnerable to being dealt with. And I think, even though Ceresmon's fantastic and gorgeous, and I agree with you, and I think Ceres is great, but it is opponent reliant, whereas Minerva isn't. You can set it up. Minerva allows you to go wide, similar to what Bacchus would do, but Minerva will allow you to actually play out your Homoros tamers, which are actually very crucial for the deck. And so if you're fixating on Minerva, you can't then have Ceresmon. So then, you're like basically hindering its consistency to add another Olympus 12, which then only counts as itself. You know what I mean?
So the world in which I see Super Friends transforming itself to what it used to be before. So the primary level 5 for the deck was Sylphie. So in order to have that sort of aggression where you can do a couple of checks and then, whether it be Digivolve into a Nova to spit out a Homo, and then you just go from there. I think now what it's turning into is that your primary level 5 of choice is going to be Siren.
Yeah.
And then you just start spitting out your level 6s from there. I don't think... We can't say that Minerva's not going to be run in Super Friends if Ceres is in the deck. I think Minervamon as the kickoff is still going to be the best first level 6 that you drop or Digivolve into. Because you get your Homoroses online, whether it be you have an AGO stack that you've spat out a Homoros, Minerva will just play out another Homoros again, That's what the deck is designed to do. I think that the packages, the refinement of the actual deck will change and will develop as the meta continues. It becomes strictly a full-on control deck with a toolboxy top ends. but there's definitely some of the level 6s that are going to be few and far in between. I think for now, it is probably going to settle around where Glowing Dawn is right now.
We see your fair income deck.
I think it's fair. I think that it has the opportunity to still top an event.
Yep.
No doubt in my mind. I cannot compare TS Super Friends to like Juno and Jupiter at this stage. It's got a lot of things going for it, but it still has the caveat of if you're playing against a good player, they're not going to give you the opportunity to like go nuts.
Yep.
So, with that being said, I definitely think it's probably one of the weaker TS decks, but by far not the weakest.
I do agree. I think there's one additional point we can add to it before we keep going forward, and that is what TS Super Friends has that not a lot of other decks in the TS range do have is, in a way, self-protection against D-Digivolve. Because when we were talking about just slam the mini for 12, you can't beat D-Digivolve, right? Super Friends does have that little pivot too, which I know we can then raise the same argument for all the other other TS decks, but at least with Super Friends, that's kind of a core functionality for the deck's playstyle, is to be able to cost reduction play. I think that might end up being a very interesting fascination going towards the meta, which I agree. I think solidly puts itself in fair income. I don't think it's mid-table how, because it's still a solid deck. It's still TS. Like this deck is here to stay, and I think between Venus and Minerva, it's just gonna be there. But speaking of Ceresmon,
the real shame before we move on, I think the real shame of that deck is that we didn't get a good Ceresmon alt art. That's
right?
The real shame.
Right, I agree. And you know what? Speaking of Ceresmon, when we play Ceresmon then? In Gear Forest, Ceresmon.
Why is my regular art and alt art the same picture?
Yeah, no. I would have enjoyed a close-up of Ceresmon medium mode, as she's known. I think that would have probably been a little bit better than just stone floating rock dragon thing. But if we're talking strictly Bacchus and Ceres by themselves, no, I'm putting that shit in the bottom, bro.
There are a lot of TS decks that I don't think work that well with the current meta. There's a lot of decks that can remove and take out full security by turn 2.
Yep.
And I think playing a minuscule body and blowing up the lowest of those bodies from Bacchus's effect, it's cute, but it's the Death X problem, right? Yeah, sure, you can de-digivolve everything by 1, and yeah, you can delete the lowest thing. What's your game plan after the fact? You need another option in security to give you Alliance and Piercing? Okay, and then what? And then what? And then you have to be suspended so you can't block. You've got no defenses in order to be immune to effects. It feels like a very shields down after the fact kind of deck, which makes sense because Bacchus is angry and then drunk. And that's kind of how that feels on the table, right? You're either angry, breaking all the security, or drunk, suspended, and not doing anything. And I don't think you can afford to not do anything on your opponent's turn anymore.
Yep. Fair point.
With the pure exception of there is, so obviously the main premise of the deck is it's meant to be green and black. Yep. There are 2 redirects, but that's not enough.
No.
I'm gonna keep tinkering with this, to make Zoo happen again. But unfortunately, I don't think it is solely Bacchus and Ceres. I think they are simply a supporting cast. Bacchus is essentially it wishes it was Chaosmon this set.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking SR. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
We cry miserably.
They swapped that over, and you had the Chaosmon effects on Bacchus. that would have been sick.
Bro,
Or at least Bacchus Rage mode, you know what I
bro,
mean?
what do you mean? Kalus's effect make it like it's a rare. That's what's so scary about the card. All it has is lack of play cost. It is a nuts card for a rare. If you chuck that with a play cost reduction, might as well just chuck it up to secret level at this point.
Yeah. It's
that card is one to watch. I am very keenly wanting to put that in my Glowing Dawn deck just as a sneaky
I've already
Fazbear.
you guys already know what I'm doing on the DL and what deck that's been put into, and I'm already paying so much dividends. I'm keeping on a massive DL. Sorry chat, but when I win next Regis, I'll reveal the spice. I mean, I've already kind of semi-revealed it, so who knows. But I think Tundra, you and I were cooking Ceres and Bacchus. We found the immunity was cool for a turn. In a control back and forth, it's a solid deck, but then it runs into a problem of if you're not able to get a home rush on the field, you then lose your immunity and then you just get sort of clapped the next turn. It doesn't have that much of a sticking power. I also think when we were testing it, it lacks the aggression to really threaten your opponent. And then it just does the whole, sweet, we've gone wide, now what?
Yeah.
It definitely needs to...
It needs Bloomlord, if I'm being honest.
Well, we thought Volderon fits perfectly into the deck because Ceres is yellow-green and Bacchus is green-black. So then you would still have the colors to DNA, whichever way, shape, and form you want. And Volderon is just, again, a follow-up stun. Then it will partition, be able to play him out if it were to be removed. But then now we're entering into a conversation of, again, one of the biggest factors in this meta, especially going to BT25, is just the sheer oversaturation of D-Digivolve in a lot of the decks. And I think there's going to be a lot of D-Digivolve. And Volderon, so what? Just gets D-Digivolved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? Mid-table? Is it Tatsloader, or is it maybe just not there yet? It still needs tinkering.
I think it's just not there yet.
It's yeah.
Red hybrid will kill it before it can even do anything.
Yeah, I think
like I was telling you before, before Geo, right? Like, oh sorry, no, I was talking to Gilmon Bread before. I've been talking to everybody today.
Hell yeah,
crazy day, crazy day.
But this is more about like if a deck can do its thing consistently enough to win. Like it can do a thing, but it's not the thing, right?
Yeah.
You can maybe play out a body or three, and then ellipses, right? Like there's no follow-up.
Yeah.
Or at least there's not a follow-up enough in time in order to have that sort of tempo control there. It can do it, sure. And then right? Like, at least with Medustamon, it's like, I play Hot Snake Bitch, blow up half your board, give you a bunch of things you can't use, and then Starakomon. It's like, all right, cool, there we go. Right? Like, there's the follow-up. We have it.
I do agree.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think Tundra put it very, very perfect. They, as a main cast, there's more to be desired. As a supporting cast, they're pretty good. Again, I think Ceres is a fantastic supporting cast piece. Bacchus is interesting because of the spawn-wide mechanic. But any final touches, Tundra, before we move on to our next card?
Bacchus is simply just waiting for Rage mode, and it's going to happen. It's because they would not make Bacchus so weak.
Yep.
If they weren't going to print something else.
Fair point.
Copium, fucking hard Copium, right?
Copium, yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, but till then, this card is not a supporting cast member for his own deck because he's kind of the main guy for his own deck, and that is Vulcanusmon. Coming into the new set, we're seeing it's got a lot of ability to link itself, has a layer of protection with the new linked options that are catered towards him. But do we think this sort of single stack vibe, which is what I'm getting from Vulcanus, enough to propel itself up into the upper echelon and warp the meta around it?
I think it's Sleeper.
Sleeper, you say? Right.
I do. I think it's... Okay. Sleeper in terms of tier 1. Subjective. It's very close, I feel. I think it's more... it is a complicated deck to build. There are plenty of different... Again, with TS, I mean, there's so many different ways you can build it, right? I think Vulcanus shows a very interesting option control, very similarly to Three Muskets, The only caveat is that you certainly don't have the same memory efficiency, but damn is it, like, it's very, very interesting, and I have played with it. There's sort of like 2 different variants that it currently has. It has the Titan package, which runs Raremon and Dragomon. And then you've also got a more Iliad-focused version that runs Blimp and Loco. And I think people are actually kind of sleeping on the automobiles, bro.
Yeah, no,
Trains, baby.
Stuff are the best part of that deck. All the other versions.
I like
just don't
trains.
compare.
Yeah. I like trains. Nah.
I mean, the other thing too is Vulcanus has an incredibly Vulcanus, whatever. Shut up. It says anus on the card, bro. It says anus on the card.
It's just, I'm gonna swing for 4 checks. Prepare your Vulcanus. I'm going in.
No, but it is like that, right? Like, if you have a look at Vulcanus.
Yeah.
Like,
bro, I'm done. That's it, son. It's Vulcanus from now on. Chat clip that. It is locked in.
I honestly think it might be fair dinkum because of the potential it has to OTK you very quickly and give Rush. Rush is the strongest keyword in the game.
That's what I'm actually trying to say, right? Like the factorial area giving you the reduction of 3. It being able to be played if you have less Digimon than your opponent, which is easy as piss because you're probably.
Liar, is that you?
Yeah, right? But then you enter and you get Link +1 and you can immediately attach 2 cards to Vulcanus.
Not
and then
just
you get
him, it's all of them.
Digivolve 2.
Yeah.
No, but like, for his on play, because I'm reading this as we go along, right? I'm trying to keep up just in case, because I don't know TS that well, which is one of the reasons why.
I'd say any of your Digimon. So if you had something else and you slammed him, you could just.
Yeah, no, of course. But him alone gets to D-Digivolve 2 on the board if you're just slamming him off of playing the security option.
Yeah.
For 4 memory after the security option, of course. You're now D-Digivolving 2, you're rushing, you're getting 2 link cards, and then you're attacking because you also have rush.
Yeah.
Like, that is not a small board impact. Because depending on what your link effects are, that can do a shitload of damage, right? Like if we get in Soul Fear and things like that, right? I'm hoping that it can actually link to this. But then like you're blowing up 2 level 5s or lower. Do you know what I mean? And you're getting plus 4k. You're checking it's 16k.
Yeah.
Blowing up a bunch of things after you've just de-digivolved everything by 2. And you're rushing.
Yeah.
Oh, why not just use Iron Slash? Iron Slash giving Collision more D-Digivolve, Piercing, and then Divine Arms with Sec +1 reboot.
So Gilmon, let's say Iron Slash is a nutty card now, and Tundra knows more. Like,
yeah, he definitely knows it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I cannot believe I'm actually saying this as much as I love so much of this set. The best TS card in this set is Iron Slash.
Oh, I agree. 100% I agree. Like,
and it's so crazy to say, but it is so disgustingly good. And one thing that this is made for Vulcanus, obviously, but even outside of its own archetype, the moment. So, I was a big believer in Sonic Shot and Shock Plasma. Those are 2 of the tempo options that I did run in my TS deck back in Regis. Those cards are just but see you later.
Yeah,
they're done.
I can see an argument for Shock Plasma just for the DP minus element, but I do agree. Iron Slash, by all accounts, is just jumping in, and the stocks are rising for that card, and I do agree.
I really gotta say, this is basically a better spider shooter for the Abbadamon. which is like a 4 play cost, or even Catastrophe Cannon, similar thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's Digivolving 2, then you get plus 2k and then keywords. The saddest part of this card is that it only links to TS traits. If this said cyborg or machine, oh my god.
It's
would be eating so fucking good.
I know. Bro, I'm sleeping on it for like Musketeers. I've got it like in my back pocket if I ever do want to pivot for it. It's kind of cool. But yeah.
Yes, Divine Arms version Omega is absolutely cracked as well. But like,
yeah. But so shall we? Are we comfortable? Because I see a point in Fair Income. I think it's a bit too soon for it to be built different, but I can see it creeping up there. There's also the caveat of, because of its complexity, it's a Tatslotto deck where it just, if it hits the nuts, you like, again, unparalleled. But I think Fair Dinkum's a fair spot for it to land in stuff into. What do you guys think?
It's going to... Yeah. Okay, I'll let you guys go first.
I was going to say, I think if you're considering the difference between Fair Dinkum and Tatslotto, then it should be mid-table. Right, like, yes, there's got some really good tools. Yes, it's got some really good stuff, and there's a lot of very generic TS searching that does exist within the card system at the moment. So you can still hit the options and you can still do stuff, but we are going to be running into the Sakuya problem, right? Where it's like, how many options do I need, and how many other support pieces can I have in order to get and to do the things? Now, luckily, the Dan and Yuki Tamer is going to be able to help you rip out a bunch of options and just go absolutely ham, depending on how much you give your opponent and stuff. So like, there's a lot of very good framework for it already. But like, I want to see what the best in class can do. Yeah. Right now, again, we're going to have less than a month of practice.
Yep.
For something that's going to require that kind of finessing without a lot of the Sakuya already existing in the card sphere kind of conversation. Maybe Vulcanus needs a little bit more time to cook, but I would not be surprised to see it in Fair Dinkum. I will be honest. Because again, that framework does still exist for the broader scope of TS.
Tundra, final say, Fair Dinkum, mid-table hell, what do you reckon?
It's I think for the general population of Digimon players, I would say it's probably mid-table in terms of how long it's going to take to cook. But if the deck is solved within a month for this next regionals, bro, I think, to be honest with you, I think sky's the limit.
All right, I'm just going to chuck it in Fair Dinkum at that point then, on that note, because this is like a prediction where we think it's going to go. Currently, mid-table, because at the moment people are solving it, but we're predicting this is going to be stocks up, right? And that could be our hot take. This could be the hot take for the table, where we reckon Vulcanus is a Fair Dinkum deck, and I'm comfortable with that being there. Only because we've still got quite a handful of decks to yap about, to put in a wonderful tier list, and another deck to yap about that is again, another hero of the story, Mr. Marsmon himself, that I know a lot of people are excited to want to cook with.
I'm sorry. We don't have very much about this to talk about at all. This is built different, straight up.
Yeah, it's way better than most of the other TS decks.
Yeah.
I think it's actually above Juno. It's turn 2, no security opponent, and no way to get rid of it. And if you do, they just kill you the next turn by hard slamming. They could run Maruki to kill you.
Yeah, I was joking with Tundra when the card got revealed and we were at the Sydney Regis. We were talking about Marsmon, and I'm like, yeah, and because obviously Tundra has a lot of experience with Maruki, I'm like, yeah, it's an M&M deck, right? Like, you get Rush, you get the Sec +1, you're getting the battle, you're getting all this stuff, you're getting end of turn attacks. It's just M&Ms. It's it.
Yep.
Maruki, fucking Minerva, and Marsmon. It's triple M the deck, right? Like, there's that much removal, there's that much sticky bodies, you're gonna beat so much face that your opponent's not gonna have a game left to play.
Right.
Full stop. We can move on.
Looking at the list that me and Tundra started for this deck, and then the way he's developed it with trainings and stuff, it's crazy with how the deck is mainly red and green.
Right.
But the only one that isn't probably is like what Agermon, some of the Tamers, but it's like any TS deck. You use the base for it, and it just goes hard.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you can actually just natively use sprint dash trainings in that deck.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You can
All
use Iron Slash, you can use Sonic Shot. Paradise Coliseum is messed up, just drop a rookie for game. The level 4s are crazy with what they do when we're playing.
Right.
Just there's no way out from it. Once they dropped it, they'll just go all the way up and nuke your field. It was like Gallantmon on crack.
Yeah,
for the warping.
It's certainly like any traditional red deck where it's like just as fast as like Red Hybrid. It's just as fast as Chaosmon. It's just as fast as like Gallant was in its prime. It is gonna like speed right freaking past you, and it's gonna win. It's crazy.
Gallant in its prime, I think Gallant's slowly getting more into its prime. I don't think it's been there, but this deck is faster than any red deck that we've probably had.
I know we're going to be chatting about Gallant soon.
Can't beat this.
Like, we'll be chatting about Gallant soon, and I know new Mr. Savant are going to have a lot of wonderful things to say. In fact, when we get to that point, I'll do a very cool, funny shout out in there. But I'm happy to put Marsmon top build different. I think we already know the capacity this is, and I think one of the big key factors this deck has now is the fact it has battle, and then when it will battle, will trash security. I think those are two very, very potent effects, specifically the trashing of security, which I'm definitely going to be yapping about when we get to one of my big decks. But no, I agree. I think Marsmon is going to be warping and shaping everything around it to go. Now, one deck that I don't think is going to shape everything around it, though, is the first secret in the new set, and that is the Gracenova deck. I think...
Yeah, no, middle.
It's mid. It's mid.
Just above Master, because there are a lot of different builds you can do with it, and there are a lot of ways to cheat out a Gracenova. But
I think it's
going
mid.
to take a lot of people to get how they want it to get. So it's going to take too long to get it.
The problem is there's no Fang or Claw support in this set for the Gracenova or Galaxy line, however it is that you know it. With that gone, the deck's new cards do not talk to the old cards the same way anymore. And so you're actually kind of missing a bit of synergy. You can go full TS and it can be really, really fun. Sort of, I guess.
That's all it is then, fun.
If we're really trying to win an event with this thing, because these new pieces do not have synergy and they are not talking, that's a friction point. You're going to have difficulty getting that to work. But I'm not the TS guy. Tundra is.
Yeah, so it certainly has a conundrum where it is not ladder Omni, everyone. It is not ladder Omni, okay? We have to use memory.
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah, I think you and I, when we'll test it, we'll put in Gracenova in the lab for a bit. Like, we'll full grinding, and you're right. It's not. It's biggest caveat. You actually need to have one of your line completely in the trash the whole time for you to even begin ping ponging. And if you were to ping pong, cool. You're just giving your opponent 8 memory. Have fun.
Yep. It's certainly, it does at least produce a board where you have, if you don't have a response to Gracenova, and you burn through a lot of checks, like a crap load of checks. If they don't have an answer to it, sure, you're gonna lose, right? The only difference is, we've seen that kind of playstyle before. It is a gatekeeper, strictly a gatekeeper. I don't think that it has the same flexibility or strength, because you're having to put all your eggs in the basket for your entire combo. In fact, I feel like, to some degree, even the Apollo, I think, it's actually kind of better outside of its own archetype, which is weird to say. The minus DP effect is not that strong when you're looking at how much value it's giving. It's -3 for each Digimon. Right?
I think it was -2 for each, actually. Bacchus, Ceres is -3 for each suspended, and Apollo is -2 for each of your Digimon.
I will confirm that. Yep, you're right. It is -2.
Yeah. So it doesn't do that much DP minus, and like, I do agree. I think, to be honest, the only reason this deck is not, and this is my take, the reason why it's not skill issue is because Dynasmon.
Yep.
I genuinely, fundamentally, gonna think it's just Dynasmon. But we're gonna keep moving on because again we've got quite a handful of decks to go through. Shifting away from the TS side of things, the new support that has come in is involving a lot of the Appmon stuff, and I know both you, Tundra, and Gilmon Bread were cooking a bit or testing something. So we're going to start with the first one, the big guy, Rebootmon. Placements, thoughts, theories, quick. Let's go.
Skill. All the Appmon decks are going to be coming down to skill. You need to be a very, very competent person that knows how to read cards and to sequence things correctly to get them to where they need to go. The Appmon stuff, I think, is also just not on people's radars for the most part because a lot of people just don't like Appmon.
Yeah, I think I definitely think Gilmon Bread needs to sort of cover this topic because when we were playing these games in particular, I was kind of just jamming TS against it, and we were just sort of getting a feel for it. I'll let him talk about it a little bit, and then we'll go from there.
It kind of feels like it wants to be two decks. You have half of it working with the Hackmon stuff, and the other half working with the Gachimon stuff. After playing like a little while with it, I think I prefer the Hackmon kind of stuff with it because you can just do some weird stuff. The moment you reboot, your immune, blocker, piercing, really strong. It feels like it needs more because it's still new, obviously, but the only real Appmon deck I feel like that's the best is Gaiamon. This one's not bad. I feel like it has potential with what people could cook with it, but it's weird to get used to. So it feels like it's, like I said, two decks in one.
So are we still happy with the assessment of skill issue? Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming with that being said, we're talking about Hadesmon also being a skill issue as well?
It's got some
Hades,
but
Hades
it's not
really a skill issue. It's a very difficult deck to pilot because there's Revive Darkness versions that can just kill you in one turn without you seeing it happen, and it just cheats out higher levels before you can kind of interact as much.
So then I guess we could say
weird with revolutions. So.
I guess we could say Hades then enters in that Tatslaughter where I guess but it's a Tatslaughter for a different kind. It's hyper pilot reliant. Personally, I think I can see Reboot joining there as well as like a Tatslaughter too. But I guess we'll see because we both agree it had a Hackmon and Gach separation, and that I felt could potentially split the deck. But one thing that I do think is actually a more mid-table Hal or beyond might be Gaia, because I think Gaia is just powerful in of itself as the Appmon, like reclaiming its throne as the best Appmon for now.
Yeah, it's just going to live in the mids. It's not going to be able to break out of that for a while until they stop either standardizing all the Appmon support, so everything's just kind of mid across the board. Or until they actually just go, all right, no, we're going to just make this shit strong and actually double down into it. And until that happens, that's just where it's going to live.
Cool.
Yep. Now, another thing I wanted to mention about Appmon, to all of you Brazil and Chinese players, how do you get wins on Uranusmon of all Digimon out of all of the Appmon decks? I don't know how you do it. It is frankly incredible. There must be some stands in the community that just live and die by that floating cloud, big sun in the sky. I don't know. Bro,
you just gotta learn to read Spanish for Mandarin. You just gotta.
Apparently.
You can't do it in English.
But to finish off apps, I think Reboot is representing now a toolbox strategy. It will be interesting to see what people do. But with how complex the deck can be, it is most certainly a skill issue.
Yep, that's fair. If you play Ceresmon or Ceresmon, or how you say his name, Uranusmon, leave a comment. Yes, that's Vulcanus. Vulcanusmon and Uranusmon. Leave a comment down below of how you think that is performing so well. But we're moving away from apps. We're moving into another deck that got support both in a starter deck as well. So we're revisiting that notion and BT25 support. We're talking less Data Squad, and more Shinegreymon. The other guy that got the secret for the set. Where do we see Shinegreymon? I think straightforward, it's a fair income deck. What prevents it from being built different is it's a bit too tamer reliant, and because it's too tamer reliant and a lot of tamers, can be prone to bricking. But the tools it has access to, freaking phenomenal. Again, we talk about it can potentially ruin loop. And even then, there's an OTK line within it. The control pieces in it are fantastic. It is
it's
DP minus.
Greymon deck.
Yeah,
that's its strength and its weakness.
Yeah, I think it's straight up fair income.
Any deck that has to rely on DGO/Ugo, sorry guys, but you ain't gonna be built different.
That is true. Yeah.
My hot take.
Nah, it's a fair, reasonable take. I agree. I think that's what separates it though, because it needs those like generic band-aid fixes to catch it up to what's built different. So being at a fair income point is a very spot on. I don't think it's mid-table hell. I think it can squash a lot of these decks wholeheartedly. I think fair income straight on, but it's counter.
If the Shinegreymon player recognizes that they're bricked, because they're going in that mid-table hell section, right? Like that's a lot of weird mid-rangey back and forth kind of decks that can go to time.
Yep.
If you're getting stuck there, and you know you're gonna have to fight up and out to try to get that win, you're against the clock.
Yep.
Scoop, go next.
Yep.
And I think that value of just knowing that just run next is probably where you're going to see that difference of placements between those players.
Yep. Now, compared to its compatriot, its fellow brother in arms, Miragegaogamon, skill issue.
Can we just get a fucking whoa? Like, that's
freaking press F for respects.
It is so criminal how bad that this card and this deck in essence has gotten like this kind of support. It's so sad.
Now, I will say there is a big asterisk with Miragegaogamon. It is, I genuinely believe, 1 or 2 cards away from jumping straight from skill issue to fair income, perhaps even built different. Because of 2 key factors. One, it's not as DGO Band-Aid reliant as what Shinegreymon is. We talk about the Miragegaogamon that's restricted to 1 is still a bananas effect. And the fact that it can bounce, rip memory, and then hand shred is all fantastic effects. It's missing something. It's not there though. But it's close.
Restricted Miragegaogamon. Like, no, genuinely, I think we need
You're
to
not wrong.
unrestrict it because there is too much card draw in this game now. They got rid of it. We need to put it back because people need to be punished for being greedy again.
That's you know what? Fair. But I think Miragegaogamon is skill issue, or if you want to be like generous, you can put in Tatslotter if you hit the nuts OTK combo line. But I think if you're using the new stuff, and we're talking about the new stuff, it sacks that consistency and therefore puts itself down here until we get more support. Like again, I think it's just a burst mode away, and maybe that's what I think is missing, is its own dedicated dual cards that you're seeing in Shinegreymon. When we get that, different story. But we'll have to wait for more reveal. This isn't a future down the line 10 sets from now reveal prediction list. This is the next set prediction list. And speaking of the next set, Titans are getting support. Titans. Where is that going? What are you thinking?
Resident Purple players, speak to it. I have still got issues with constructing a Titlemon list that warrants me putting it above mid-table hell, only because purple is my kryptonite. I can't build it for crap. Titlemon, having said that though, it has a lot of really interesting pieces. I certainly think that there could be a world where it does make it into potentially where like Superfriends is, but due to my inexperience with it, I think it's very tough to put it above mid-table hell. The new Tidamon specifically is kind of where it's at, along with I would like to say Ultimate Brachio. One of the biggest kryptonites the deck did have before was that it did not have any way to protect your board state.
Yep.
But now with this Tidamon, and also with the Ultimate Brachio, if you're with Ultimate Brachio, if you're setting them to 5 memory, they're not affected by any effects, regardless of Digimon or options. Hadesmon specifically, you trash cards in your hand for it to stay alive. So I think I think it has a lot of potential, but that is a deck list that is going to be the hardest to cook.
It will be.
Not just for me, but for everyone else as well.
Like, how good is it to know that you can trash 2 Nidhogg's, gain 2 memory, and end your opponent's turn, as well as staying on the board and deleting their lowest or highest DP? Regardless, like, that's kind of nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, like, here's the thing, right? You may notice a slight trend in the deck lists that are getting towards the top. It's typically going to be purple or yellow, because they're very high skill ceiling decks that give you a lot of reward for your investment. This is one of those decks that's going to be able to do that. Whether it can do it in a way where it also circumvents the fact that Tidamon decks just give you like 8 memory for your opponent to play with, without the whole memory set Matashita thing that happened with the Skull Bellucci restriction. If you can still kind of semi-consistently do stuff like that, you're going to notice some great dividends. But there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of cooking that needs to happen.
Hey guys, just want to take a quick second to say thank you again for watching so far in the video. If you have a moment of your time, can you please hit that like and subscribe button, just so we can, get some traction onto this video and slowly build our wonderful community together. Anyway, thanks again, and we're going to head back right into the meta prediction list. Next card, I'll let you guys start it off, because I might have personal bias. 3 Musketeers. Where were we putting it?
I fought against your 3 Musketeers, so I know that it's got some serious teeth. Your particular one, at least against me, playing Millenni, it definitely feels like a fair dinkum, or higher. It's very good. It probably helps that you're a judge and you understand timings and rulings and things of that nature. So that always will catch me off guard. Having said that, I haven't seen anyone else be able to pilot it as well. It feels like it could run into the Tats Lotto problem, where it just sort of, if you're lucky, you get it. The other thing as well to keep in mind is a lot of the games that we have been on simulators, which are not indicative of real shuffles. So it definitely has that sort of movement to it. But I will say it is far more consistent now if you're playing 3 Muskets to go into Beal Star herself.
Yep.
Much better. I think that you could be fair dinkum on good rolls, like average to high rolls, mid to low rolls, like you're probably going to be straddling mid-table.
Yep.
But like, we're talking like you're only hitting options or tamers and you're not getting pieces, and your opponent's playing Medusamon and they just dumpster you. That'll happen.
Yep.
You need setup.
Tundra?
I think Guz certainly makes a good point, but from what I've seen so far, the unbrick potential is so high. It is so easy to unbrick in this deck that you could take a turn of just setting up and then you're basically just ready to go.
Yep.
It disgusts me that today we got a reveal for a dual card Magnamon. That card in itself is just so
I'm happy, man.
perilous for the future. But this a genuine hot take, and this is not just because of Geo's cookage. This deck is going to win an event.
Yeah. I'm winning. I'm guaranteed to win it. It's in the bag. I'm telling you.
No doubt.
We'll see.
This deck, I think, is again another sleeper OP deck. It has all of the tools that you need to beat the top decks in the format. And the biggest one being fucking Ladder Omni. This deck will destroy Ladder Omni in the right situation. Do I think it's a best of one deck? I certainly can see it being such, but it has so much potential. It's so aggressive. Its recursion is disgusting. You have so many different options available to you. The memory efficiency is insane. I think it's in built different. That's my take. We can leave it in fair dinkum for now, simply just because it's going to be a player diff. That is.
Yeah. So I agree with
why it's not there.
I agree with both of your takes. Initially, you could very much argue it's a Tatsloto deck because it is hyper pilot reliant, but also because one of the biggest weaknesses is the fact that it's so option heavy of a deck. It suffers from what like Marcus has with being too tamer heavy. This is too option heavy. However, I don't need band-aid fixes. You don't need. It has its own way to self unbrick, find its answers, find its solutions. It's not as important on level 5s because of the Black Auto. The key difference is it has a lot of answers to a lot of decks. So you could argue built different, but I think this is at bare minimum the top of fair income. I don't think this is either top of fair income or bottom of built different because this deck is explosive. It's powerful and it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. The recursion is nuts and it has one of the key option removal, like premier key option removal decks. Any deck that's running protection against Digimon effects, Bill Star will just laugh at it. Musketeers are going to laugh at it. But because of its hyper reliance to options, it actually has a high brick ratio than, say, what I think the built different decks would normally have. I think built different, by definition, is that they just don't brick or like as much as you'd think. Or if they do brick, it's fine, it's manageable. Whereas with at least the Musketeers, when you do brick, you kind of need to fight tooth and nail to unbrick. You can, but it is a little bit harder compared to what I think a built different deck should do. So we can put it either top of fair income or bottom of built different. I'm happy either way.
I think top of fair dinkum is fine, just because of the pilot. I think it has everything it needs to beat the meta. Now that we're sort of segueing into the rest of what we know is present in the meta. Yeah.
So that's what's going to be the next chapter of this video. So this is all cards coming into what is new and what is got a new support where we think they're going to place in the meta. The next cards, I think we're going to be rapid firing because we already know what they can do. We already know their capacity. We just want to see, do they shift in where their positions are because of the new stuff that's coming in? So for example, ExMaquinamon, I think is actually either mid-table or Tatsloto.
Mid-table.
Yep. It's gatekeep.
Yep. It is a filter deck, as I like to call it. It's going to be the thing that's going to show you if your deck is good or bad. If your deck is bad, you will not beat it. If your deck is good, you will. Just like the Mother D Reaper of old.
Yep. Or the Royal Knights as well, into same vein. All right. Red Hybrid, built different.
Built different, no doubt.
Nope. This has
crap, is that deck broken.
It is strong. It is fast. It is disgusting. I think there's 3 versions now running rampant. If Gilmore Bread was here, we would have discussed 2 of them, being the difference between Ancient Grey and Emperor Grey. But there's also the 3rd variant that I'm actually more frightened of, and that is utilizing the Dragon links at the top end between Metallic and Volcanic, because you don't need level 6s. This is Abbadamon through and through. You just need a Tamer, you just need Abbadamon, and then you're like running to the stars. Like it's powerful. I think Red Hybrid.
Really
yep. Arguably, I could see it being like near Marsmon. I think, it's up there. Its fellow compatriot, though, the Yellow Hybrid, honestly, fair income because of Venus Lockout.
Yep,
It's also because it technically requires more game actions to win.
Yeah.
Like, there's technically more places where you're using the Magnagururus to put things into security, to then trash security, to unsuspend, right? There are more points of failure within the combos that you need in order to win.
Yep.
Because of that, it is fair dinkum, because Red Hybrid just says, I am big, me do swing, you lose, me punch face, you lose.
Yep.
That's it. It's just those tiny little things like that, especially when we're talking about regional events. You're playing 7 rounds, sometimes 8. That's a lot of like mental focus that is required, because in each of those rounds, you're playing up to 3 matches. That's a lot of work.
Yep.
Being able to just turn brain off, big dude swing, huge.
Honestly, dude, I actually think that it's in mid-table, like on the top. I'm not gonna lie.
You know, I think that's a fair call. I think
the payoff is really solid, but I don't think that it's as strong as what's being represented.
Yep, that's fair. I think that's a cool take. Moving on, we're talking about the Imperialdramon brothers, both red purple and then blue green. Starting us off red purple. Do we see it coming anywhere? I think it's a Tatsloto deck.
I think it's fine. Like, you can probably perform on it, but it's not gonna be great.
It is scary and it does stuff. I'm looking at these other decks. It's not faster.
Yeah, play another red deck.
Yeah, play Mars realistically. Or even red hybrid.
Red hybrid. You know.
Yeah, it's
no doubt.
It's got some cool floodgates and things like that with the Imperialdramon on screen. It's can blow up wide boards, sure.
It has good. It does have good recursion. That's what I'm saying. As a Tatsloto, if you hit your cards and then you set up your bin, you're just like comboing off like no tomorrow. However, you can brick
right? Like,
really badly.
If you want to do that, just play Ladder Omni.
True. Yeah. True.
Never higher than there.
No.
The only time this becomes built different is if you're channeling your inner fake main protagonist and you somehow have Imperialdramon Dragon Mode Ace in your hand at a time.
Yes,
that is built different.
If you cheat.
Yeah.
Recursion for 0.
Yeah, recursion for 0. But to its brother in arms, I think the blue green's actually a fair income deck. I don't think it's built different.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I have my opinions on it, but
yeah. Look, the AD01 Imperial is definitely more of a skill check card for you as the opponent. If you can play around it, you will, and then this thing's not going to feel like it's built different at all. If you play into it, it's going to feel like it's built different because you're just going to be eating shit the whole time.
Yeah.
Great example, I play Millenni, I hard slam the promo. Its all turns will trigger. However, if it is my turn, I have player priority. I can de-digivolve it, get rid of it. I don't even have to worry about partition half the time. They're just gone.
Yep.
It's all right, sweet. So you will have to have a fair bit of player knowledge as to know how to break it, but it's not unbeatable. Despite it winning things, fair dinkum is a very solid and fair power position for it.
Yep.
I think you could arguably put it up I think here is fine between these two.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not judging by sideways scale. I'm just putting them straight in the categories.
Yeah. I'd say it's exactly the same as Shine. It can brick. And you're gonna fucking be miserable. The bottom end sucks, just like Shine does.
Yep.
Is what it is.
Yep. Alright. Speaking of thing that's a bit more top end focused then, Abyss Sanctuary. This is Neptune and Venus.
Sorry guys, it's in skill issue. It's now it's with Ceresmon and Bacchus. It just is. It's fallen from grace a bit. Unfortunately, its biggest kryptonite is de-digivolve. It's what it is. It does its thing, but it's just not good enough into everything else.
That's fair. Yeah. I agree. I guess we move on. Belphemon Rose, Mr. Guzzy.
Well, any Belphemon. I've seen people do very well with this deck. It does have immunity. It does have a fair bit of removal, and it also has Tamer Haste. All very applicable things. walking into the TS environment with this only being able to blob level 5s and lower, not so great. But it does have immunity, it does have the ability to end of turn attack, it can get through a whole bunch of things, its DP can get nutty. 7th Penetration is also not only a funny card to say, but also a very powerful removal option that the deck can just do for free by digivolving into Belphemon X, or Belphemon Rosé as I like to call it. The problem is, the good players that can play Belphemon are just not playing it. If you can do well with this deck, you should be doing well with this deck. It comes down to a skill issue. You need to be very good. Just taking it to the event's not going to be good enough. You really need to put in the hours for it.
All right. That's fair.
Yep.
I think skill issue is fine. I think it is, again, solid deck, strong deck. Another deck that's immediately skill issue, BlackWarGreymon Ace. Let's move on.
Yep.
Dynasmon.
Unban Grey X.
No.
Sorry, Gabby. Sorry, Gabby.
That's just it.
That's just it. Dynasmon, moving forward. I think Tatslotto, if you hit the nuts, skill issue.
It's not bad.
It's just as good as any other red deck, except that all the other red decks technically do it just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that's where Dynasmon loses his steam. Like
I think-
Gallantmon or Medusa is just typically going to be better.
Agreed. I think that it's still a tier above skill issue. I think it has a lot of stuff going for it.
Yep.
Especially that particular Dynasmon, like it's essentially a ruin mode on a level 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not that bad. Like, you
it's
know,
good.
I
stocks
thi-
are going to
negative
keep
6,
rising.
22
Royal
for
me.
Knights is coming out, man.
I have been OTK'd by Dynas. That's why I'm happy putting a Tatslotto, because it's got like very powerful ability to attack. It has layers of protection, being Witchenly and the Wizardmons, and as we mentioned, the new card that came in the 81 set, giving a mini ruin mode. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. I thought it was solid. But speaking of an 81 red deck, poor Gallant Savant is not here to yap about his boy. He'll probably put him in built different. I think it's a fair dinkum deck.
I mean, you did say skill issue before, and I am inclined to agree.
You know what? Bet. Skill issue for the memes. But no.
It's not a meme. Like, the Gallantmon players that can play this and win events,
Yep.
much like Patrick, who I recently interviewed with Gilmon Bread on my channel, they've been playing this deck for like 2, 3, or even longer. That's how many years they've put into it, right? They know how to play this deck. They know all these deep combo lines. They know all this weird number theory and stuff. And if you've ever played against Gilmon Bread, you'll see it in action. They are the players who are built different, which makes the deck itself a skill issue.
Well,
See, I'd say then you're arguing me putting it in mid-table hell then.
yeah.
It's got some good new tools, but the Gallantmon community is a little bit divided over the Biomerge or the cool boy of it all.
Yeah.
So we'll have
fact
to see.
The fact that it can run Crimson Blaze immediately puts it on bottom of fair dinkum.
You know what? Fair. That's fair dinkum, mate. Let's move forward. Vortexamon. Vortexamon.
Yep.
Fair dinkum.
Agreed. Battling stocks is.
I agree. I think initially you could would have been mid-table hell for a while, but because of how many decks now, specifically Alter-S and things that are coming in, I think Vortex is actually an answer to them. It's not consistent enough to be built different, but it's sure as hell strong enough to be at fair dinkum. But one of the biggest key takeaways for what this can run is it can run fighter mode, and I think that's an underrated tech card in and of itself. To chuck
the
into
underrated
Vortex.
stuff here as well is a lot of the Marsmon package can work in Zephargamon. In fact, you might even see some Zephargamons at the top of a Marsmon deck.
Yep.
Simply because it cares about avians as well.
Yep.
And what's half the freaking line in Zephargamon if not goddamn avian or wizard for some reason?
Yeah, and then there's also a funny tech that both Airdramon and I were yapping about, resident Zepharga main expert. Monarch Lizardmon finding space in Vortexamon can work because of the fact that it's just a green 5 cost use option. So I think Vortexamon fair income is fine, but another green option that is using green Digimon, Central Town Throne Room, Tundra, this is all on you. How far from grace has this deck fallen?
We
Or
are
has
going
it fallen?
It's certainly fallen. It's not as good as the rest of the TS lists now. I'm going to try my darndest to bring it back up, but right now it is middle of the pack. It's alongside, it's just, it needed an edge. It got some really interesting stuff for Sylphie. We need to figure out the top end. I don't think you could run the same regionals deck that I did and perform just as well as it did. There's better TS decks.
Yeah.
Say less.
Fair. Little shifting gears. I think the quintessential Tutzlotter decks in Greymon OTK and Bacchusmon. Only here because for those who are not aware, these decks low-key are the definition of a Tutzlotter deck. Bacchusmon, I think, on the greatest of days, can win from turn 1. It is like when we talk about Exodia decks, Bic is Exodia. I hate this deck with a passion. And then Greymon OTK.
It hasn't gone anywhere.
It hasn't gone anywhere.
To be fair, these decks have not gone anywhere. And in fact, Dorbic actually got support. Thanks to the Wisteria memory boost, being able to grab the very important Maturemon, which allows it to unsuspend and attack twice per game.
Yep.
There are a lot of very powerful Saurian cards for Dorbic specifically that have come out that will allow it to kill and will allow it to win.
Yep.
Very dangerous card. Greymon OTK has also not gone anywhere. It's just that its play pattern is boring, and so most people have just stopped. But they will kill you by turn 2 or 3, 100%.
And they are there. I think the definition of Tutzlotto. Solid decks. Another deck that was in BT24, we're talking about Digipolice.
Skill.
It is skill. I think it has it. Look, it's a very fascinating top end floodgate, but it gets dealt with a lot of things. It has the Rebootmon that is deep protection against effects. Cool. But again, I've never once seen this card and threatened. Sorry, Gabby, but like, what is this? What is this? What are those?
No, it's more of Digipolice has a really good core. The problem is it doesn't have a good payoff.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree.
Yep.
Royal Knights.
Mid-table.
Always a gatekeep deck until next set. We will see how it goes.
I think same vein how we talk about Bill Star Musketeers being what separates a Fed Income deck to a build different deck. I will forever die on the hill that Royal Knights is always going to be what separates the decks below it from the decks above it.
It's a clock.
Yep.
That's the problem. Like, it has to tick up in order to get into a game win state, right? Things need to be played, things need to die, time needs to pass. If you get taken out before enough time passes and you don't have your Mecha to play out your stupid Omni X from your butthole for free, it's over.
Yep.
Creepy X, Creepymon.
It has some spice. It has some spice. But when you are milling both players, you can lose your best pieces. Be very careful.
Yep.
I think it's Tutzlotter too. I think against the wrong matchup, i.e. a Millenniumon, this is actually not good. Against Belphemon, also not good. But I think this is
Gallantmon, free win.
It would be, yes. I think even Musketeers, I'm happy to have stuff in bin. I think though this card is actually a secret sleeper card or sleeper deck against something that is the high roll, like when we talk about Alter-S, which I guess we could talk about very, very soon because we probably need to spend a minute on it.
Not really.
Not really. But like, if you mill all their cards to the bin, the only way they can have recursion is off of one Greymon. But if they've got to grab multiple pieces, again, Creepy X can do some very funny shenanigans. But speaking of Alter-S,
build diff. It's just
the deck to beat, man.
I say it's the worst deck in format simply because it's the worst one to have to play against because it is so uninteractive and it is the best in format. It's just the worst play experience as an opponent to play into.
See, funny thing about Omni Alter-S is, to me, it's again a quintessential Tutzlotter style deck. The only difference between this and like Dorbic and Greymon is it's fucking consistent.
Yep, always gonna make it, dude.
The immunity. is so good. The EX1 Metal Garurumon needs to be completely removed from the game because all these silly little Omni DNA things where it gets like 18 memory and then fucks you in the ass it's just too much. I'm sick of it. I get it if you like it, that's great if it's your flavor, but it's ruining this moment where it's like, cool, this is special, this is a payoff, I am DNAing, waha, what are you gonna do now? It's like, well, it doesn't matter because you're just gonna blow yourself up, tuck yourself into security, replay everything, and then beat my face and win the game.
Yeah.
There's no spectacle to it. There's nothing fun. It's just win.
I also think in our meta, again, we're a best of 3 format, not a best of 1. Perhaps in a best of 1, it's more scarier because it's like if you hit the nuts, you hit the nuts. But I would actually say as a best of 1, that would immediately drop to Tatslotto. Because it's a best of 3, you have ways where I know what deck I'm versing now. I don't have to promote early. I can do these more greedy plays, or I can play a bit more safer. And I think the pilot will then be able to shift the way Alter-S plays and then still be able to take quite a commanding game lead.
The only reason why I'd beat Tatslotto on a best of 1 is because you're going up against another ladder Omni.
Yeah, that is true.
Like realistically, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna say one thing before we continue. To all our Alter-S haters, please consider Floodgates. It cannot do anything to them.
Crimson Blaze is solid against him. Chaosmon is a funny counter to Alter-S. Only though if they're running the EX4 BlackWarGreymon, not the 81 BlackWarGreymon. Because there is a timing window where if they start off with like, they promote with Greymon, Digivolve into Guru, and then they ping pong that way. When they get to EX4 BlackWarGrey, they have 2 timing things. One, they either have to Digivolve or force another Evo. And if they force the other Evo, then they can't DNA. And so Chaosmon in that small window actually can get rid of one of the stacks, as long as you don't get Digivolved. So Chaos is funny into Alter-S. It's so good. But I do agree. Floodgates counter this deck quite well, especially if you're looking at decks that are memory boost centric. Just run a can't gain memory effect, a tamer. Floodgate, and you're good.
Yep.
D-Brigade.
Tats.
Yeah.
If you don't start with the Ceresmon X, you're kind of just losing.
Yep.
You need the Kera X in order to maintain any form of relevance. Sorry.
And also Tatslotto for a different kind. You just hope to God you're not running into Crimson Blaze.
Yep.
It was a very scary deck when Kara X was released, and now it's mid. It's so mid.
Yeah.
No,
you know what?
not mid. Not mid in that
regard.
regard.
Yeah, okay, Tatslotto.
Mid as in it's fucking shit.
You know what's fucking shit? How about this guy?
Let's not talk about it. It's
Examon has potential. It's just never been realized. That's the sad truth.
It solely relies on some of simply the worst Digivolution line for a DNA deck that exists.
So
it's just bad. We're waiting for the next set. It will happen. I'm an Xros stan. We'll get there.
I mean, your icon is a Dracomon, so like I think you would know your Examon. Yeah.
Basically, how it feels is how this DP looks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right. No, I agree.
Everyone's crying in the corner.
Fish.
Fish, I would say, is probably just as gatekeepy as everything else.
You can do some really, really nasty things with Fish. We've got a player, Runic, in our group. He loves Fish, and he has made that deck look like it's built different. He's really, really good with blue. He's an absolute son of a bitch for that, in a good way.
And there's also Flexi. He has rocked my world with Fish. Like I genuinely struggle to because he knows the timings on Fish is. Like, if you high roll, it's a built different deck. But if you don't, it's mid-table. You can technically say you could arguably squeeze into Fair Dinkum based on the pilot, but I think mid-table is pretty a safe, reliable place for Fish, because it's also a little bit piece reliant for it to do its thing. Purple Hybrid.
It's probably one of the most rogue decks out there, to be honest with you. Like, you can kind of break a lot of decks still, but it's no one's playing it right now, so I feel like it's sort of got this weird untapped potential in a sense.
Yeah,
because of all the restrictions, a lot of players stopped playing it. That hasn't actually stopped its power or its relevance. It is still really good. Getting through it is also pretty hard at sometimes because they can color swap you a lot.
Yep.
And milling is also kind of difficult if you're a deck that can't withstand that.
Yeah.
But it is just one of those really funny little guys. They're either going to have it or you're hopefully going to be faster.
Yeah, I think the color swapping is probably the thing that should be on the radar, and especially for for yellow hybrid players. You do have a tamer now that can digivolve into both. Consider it. I think there might be some interesting lines that you could have against the top decks where you might actually be able to give yourself an edge for at least a turn.
Yeah. And then I guess also to add into, if you're versing a red hybrid deck, and this actually happened when I was testing Valgrimmon in as an option tech choice for a certain deck. Whenever I came across red hybrid, I was able to mill it 12 cards. It was so good because they have so many colors. It's sweet, no worries. But speaking of a deck that doesn't have many colors, Galacticmon, and I have a hot take on this. This is built different with the right pilot. Fair dinkum on average pilot, but sadly, no one's willing to give it the time and love, and therefore finds itself at mid-table hell.
The problem, I think, is that genuinely, it's got some nasty cards, and it just somehow doesn't get them off. I think one of the really interesting things that I don't think a lot of people are taking advantage of, that I definitely got hit by at Sydney, was that there is a Zenith Tamer that can de-digivolve. Now, notably, that is a Tamer effect. There's a lot of Digimon effect resilience. This will get through Vortex. This will get through all of that shenanigans to then get hit by a Ragnarok cannon is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
So I think that Galactic is something that has just been sort of slept on in general because most people realize that the deck doesn't do anything until you're a level 6. But the new one has Assembly, which is nuts.
I agree.
Because you can just slam that thing and then digivolve and get immune and blow more things up. I definitely think that it is fair dinkum. Because as I play slower decks, I'm running into this all the time. That's where I land up, usually mid-table hell. So that sucks for me. But Galactic is good. You just need to put the right pieces in. It's the problem that all black decks have. It can do a lot of stuff. You just need to put that stuff in the deck during the deck building phase in order to get the most out of it.
Yep. I agree. Yep. I think again, it has Tamer heavy meta. It's going to deal with that. It also has Digivolve protection, and that's a big thing. Because we're talking about a meta that's focused on Digivolve. It has its own Digivolve protection. It can Digivolve. As you mentioned, it's from one of them is from the Tamer itself. We're talking about so many decks have Digimon immunities. Well, who gives a crap? I'm doing it for my Tamer. And finally, it has not only Digimon immunity, but everything immunity in the new Galacticmon. And so, like I said, I think if people actually gave it the time of day, this is such a built different deck. And perhaps it might be because we had a leak of a new named emblem card coming in an LM set that pretty much fits the bill for a Galacticmon, one of the only liberated decks that doesn't have an emblem yet. So when that comes, maybe. But again, that's neither here nor now because we're talking about BT25. Fair dinkum is fine, I reckon.
The other thing to point out is that if you do put 3 Sumamons in this thing and it gets plus 9k, you're not getting battled. It's just not happening.
I agree. Speaking of complete immunity, Magnamon X. There is a new build that's... Sorry?
Mid-table. If we're looking at a meta that has an increased prevalence of battle...
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a list that's running around, and I just want to highlight for just 2 seconds. That is utilizing the new Imperialdramon that's found in the Imperialdramon. You can't be deleted in battle, removed by battle. And it focuses on the Lydramon as the bottom end, because Lydramon is armor form. It can allow you to DNA into Imperialdramon, and then you just go into Magnamon at the top end. That is a very cool, spicy cook that might address the weakness of Magnamon X. However, doesn't address one key factor. If this gets stunned, then it's useless. And then you just stall out a turn, and then Magnamon X has finally got dealt with. And it's just,
we're in a meta where puppets exist, and Nyabu can hit you with negative DP until the end of your turn. So they just pass turn and you're dead.
Exactly.
So it feels like it's been pretty sufficiently countered.
Yeah. Tundra, anything before we move to the next card?
No.
Chaosmon.
Yep, that's a high roll card. Systemons give you a natural brick in the deck that you need to fight through.
Yep.
Simple.
I think simply just because of Omnimon Alter-S, there might be a world where Genku surges in popularity. Turtle Genku might actually be an answer to some of the top decks here. However, that's yet to be seen. That's just what I've spoken to about with some Chaosmon players. I think it's got an interesting concept. Because it did stop a lot of very aggressive decks when Genku Turtle was at its peak popularity, and then it did sort of fall from grace fairly quickly. But something to think about for Chaosmon players, have a look back in Genku. I reckon you can pull it off.
I agree. I think I remember for a long time, even back for our Nats, I was swearing by Chaosmon being the equivalent in terms of how this list looks. How we talk about Alter-S being insane. Chaosmon was to that degree. I still think he has the capacity to fight back, but you're very much right. The Genku Turtle might be the pivot back because of everything else that exists around it. But Chaosmon's still by far a solid deck. I think it's just been kind of semi-tossed away for other red decks when we're talking about red hybrid, Gallant.
Yeah, red hybrid's not going to get itself color blocked.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
just better.
And
overall.
like another red deck that's like it get thrown away aside for is Medusa, which I think it's similar. It's just it's a built different deck.
She's just good. She's just good.
Honestly, with what we've got up top, my take is that it's in fair dinkum now.
Really?
I do. Yep.
It does have red deck problems where it doesn't draw a lot of cards.
Right.
So there is that. There is also now, very noticeably, since the rule changes, where you are required to actually have the official tokens for decks or the special print-offs. I wonder how many players are actually going to go through the effort of either requiring real tokens or printing them off in order to take this to events. We may see a dip in players actually running this deck, because like the last regionals that we went to, I was actually sitting across the way from Geo. This dude ran out and he had like a whole bunch of HoloLive cards for whatever reason.
Yeah, it was
and
freaking great.
Throwing down all these anime girls, and Geo's like, "Look, man, I know it's okay for this one, but like the next Regis, you're definitely not going to be able to get away with that." And Bandai thankfully gave us a much clearer stance on all of that. So I wonder if that's just going to leave the very dedicated Medusa players, hopefully, which is probably where we're going to see him in fair dinkum.
Yeah,
but you know, there's going to be a very interesting shift there in that player space.
You know what's funny with that specific matchup with that gentleman? Because I explained to him the token ruling, i.e., because I am a judge, I have to be aware of these things. We then had a fun game because I was playing puppets against him. You know what he brought out? He brought a box of muesli bars out that had like 12 mueslis in it. And then we just looked at each other and you're like, I bet. So whenever I spawned a token, I put a muesli bar. Whenever he spawned a token, we put muesli bars. And it was just like, we already know what's happening. We're having fun, but it was so good. I still got Ruffle Stomped because it was Medusa. But I do agree. I think the battle thing is what's going to shift it down. I think I think that's why, because progress gives immunity, but battle technically transcends immunity. So what was made Medusa so potent, so powerful, I think is going to take a leg down, and battle is going to slowly creep up. But I still think Medusa is by definition a very, very powerful deck that is still performing to this day. Unlike this next deck, guys, you guys are the. I'll leave to you.
Guys, I'm not even going to pretend that I'm a Millennium player.
No, we're not talking about that now. We're talking about this guy.
Machine.
Oh, Machine. Oh, whoopsie. My bad.
Spoiler alert.
Hey,
Look,
Machinetramon's in the deck.
Look, I love Machinedramon with all my heart. I've played that deck for 3 years.
I think you did a very interesting deep dive into Machine as well with the which is fantastic content. Guys, you should definitely check it out if you are fascinated by Machine. It was a very well thought out. It's inspiring me to do the same thing for Mastemon, which I'll put a link to that playlist if you put in the playlist in the links down below. But yeah, as you're saying.
Well, thank you very much, Gia. But I've had to take a personal break from the deck because I did give my all for 3 years pretty consistently, which is why I've swapped to Millennium. It's my own little personal story. But Machinedramon's in a very strange place. I think that there's actually been a fair bit of a pull back to the EX1 machine in order to just OTK a lot of with the new EX9 pieces. The EX9 machine itself maybe's fallen out of favor just a smidge, but it also has a lot of very powerful, the most powerful, when you would leave the battlefield, trash some sources thing. So there's some really interesting stuff happening there. However, I think if you were to take this to an event, you're gonna get stuck in the mid-table hell. The reason for that is Machinedramon is very naturally resilient to a lot of things, which is true, but it's slow. If you're using a black-based machine, you are falling way out. You're just right down at the bottom. If you're using the purple engine, you'll have just enough speed to keep up. But I will interject on myself real quickly to mention that the Kokuamon from this set coming out, where it just allows you to digivolve for free into a level 4, could be very, very helpful to bring back the old Raremon build. And you can use some of the Invisimon low-end stuff as well. That's all machine or cyborg as well to reduce digivolution costs further. There are build paths for this deck that can actually be kind of really reliable and fun. But that's also one of the other problems that Machinedramon has. There's too many fucking options.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can go in so many different directions. It's hard to truly quantify where it could go. So for me, it's just going to have to be all-round mid-table hell because I don't see it being able to outperform things like Medusa. I don't see it being able to outperform things like Galactic. Yeah, you'll have Oblivi, but it can end the attack. I don't see it being able to get through all the DP negging. If you go for the EX9 one. If you go for the EX1 Machinedramon, you are going to be immune to that, sure, but you'll be bot decked. You'll be put into security. And that's kind of the duality of the deck at the moment. It's you have to pick one or the other, and it's one of the reasons why Sakuya was such its perfect weakness when that deck finally came out.
Yeah. Sandra, any final points to your previous child, or shall we move on to its new daddy?
Watch Guz's video, guys. People have done some ridiculous cookages. It's all on his channel. He lives and breathes by this deck. I am simply but a passenger. I love Machine too, but we're waiting for Metal Empire.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Because we don't have a good egg.
Well, speaking of Machine, it is subservient to its new overlord, and you previously mentioned it, Millenniumon. Where does he place currently? Or going into this new set?
Millennium's weird.
I think fair, right?
And here's the thing, Millennium's always going to be weird. Because with all the new battle stuff coming out, Millennium doesn't care. Punch it in the head. You start off the combo. It's a deck that's very good at punishing people. And the greedier you are, the more it's going to punish. And that's a really fun thing. Also, we've got, like I mentioned before, with the Miragegaogamon point, right? There's a lot more card draw in the game. Moon Millennium's going to be able to come out and take out all of your tamers. There's a lot of these very interesting things that are happening. It's got a very, very good, immaculate punish game. Being able to just drop a level 7 of all fucking things out of your asshole onto the table, de-digivolve, blow up, kill yourself, play at another dude, hand rip and blow up, and just boom, 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 boom. Right? There are some crazy things. Not to mention there is an actual infinite that does exist with this deck.
Yep.
That infinite is insane. That infinite is insane.
It is scary. And you can... Sorry. You may hear some cats screaming. That's just my sons. They want to have dinner. That's how long we've been going. I'm sorry. But it's a good deck. It's very, very capable. You just need to know how to play it, and you need to resolve the timings really, really well. But it is still very much you need to figure out your particular path for the deck. And I've gone for a hard slam variant because I just love cheating big boys into play.
Yep. Agreed.
Yep, I think it's a fair dinkum. Still firm, solid deck. It is also what I think is a clock deck, where you're on the clock, and at some point it just steps all over. Like, you either beat it or it beats you. There's like no in between. You can try stall it out, it will have an answer. It has access to digivolve, deletion, form removal, and it can come out of nowhere. I think fair dinkum is definitely in place. I think because of its nature, it can't be built different. It's just an inherent game philosophical design of the deck itself. But moving from Millennia, we're talking about Dark Masters. There are some people replaying Dark Masters, and it has a very fascinating interaction with a lot of decks. Arguably, as a puppet player as well, Dark Masters is a matchup I don't want to verse. It has wonderful answers into puppets, but I think this is a hyper slept on deck. That will find itself in mid-table, though.
I will agree that it's been slept on, because in the very next set, when we got all the Dark Masters cards, there was the CS Mastemon, which fucking negated its entire existence. Yeah. So a lot of people picked it up, played it for a set, and then dropped it. So I will agree that it has been slept on. I will also say that it is also very much a clock deck, and I don't want to have to go up against Red Hybrid with this. You auto lose. Because you tell them what's in your security, it's fucking face up. Junomon being able to trash it, looking at all these cards right up here, Marsmon being able to trash it all. You're never going to be able to get up to 4 motherfuckers in security to free play your Apocally. It's not happening.
That's why I think, like, if Master was higher up, this goes down. Master being at mid-table, I think this comfortably hits mid-table, but it prevents it from going fair dinkum because of the trashing of security, like Medusa. Just like even like Alter-S will be immune to Digimon effects when it does its sequencing with Prescaroo. With Billstar. The Billstar Rex-centric binder trigger build, which I've showcased how many security you can trash with that build in previous videos. But I think middle of the pack is fine for it. It's still a gatekeeper to anything else that can't deal with it, like puppets can't deal with it. If puppets are into it, have fun.
Yep. Warumon Xeamon is a brilliant card. That promo does probably all of the heavy lifting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you've also got spots for Digimon Emperor. You have options in eggs where you can still run Crimson Blaze if you run Red Koro. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, plenty of anti-meta options in there. But listen, you want to play a control deck, play anything else that's the tier above. You're gonna have a better time.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of a weird control deck, Lucemon.
This is probably one of the most unique decks that I think that does have a competitive edge.
Just to wrap it up real quick for Luce. If you are going up against a competent pilot, you're eating shit. That's a full stop. The new Tamer really gives it the gas that it needs to fucking go. If you're going up against somebody who, like me, has built the deck just to sit there and go, no, you think, because I don't wanna, you're probably going to be stuck in mid-table hell. The deck is not going to be able to play itself, but you will put a lot of pressure on your opponent, and there is some weight to the psychological warfare element if you're playing a whole day of Regis where you will maybe not beat the opponent, but they'll start losing later on in the day because you just force them to think that additional amount, which is funny.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think access to the new Lord Knight and Dynasmon in 81. I think Lucemon is like either near the top of mid-table hell or like the bottom of fair dinkum. I think it can fair dinkum, but it's pilot dependent, which prevents it.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, the tamer allowing you to digivolve in breeding is crazy.
Like, So
Very
like,
good.
I'm happy with it being at like top of mid-table because it sadly is at pilot dependent. Still solid deck. Quintessential fair dinkum deck though. Any Gil Growl slop?
Not any, but like, it's a fucking good engine.
Yeah. I think Gil Levia needs to be represented in fair dinkum. It's fast. It does its thing well. It's memory efficient. Say less.
Yeah. I think they're a little bit of the separate series of themselves. I still think there's a Gil of like Levi himself, solid. I think Gil Growl, there in of itself can do a lot of things. Like for instance, we can pivot to, you can still do a Gil Growl for Gallant. You can do a Gil Growl into, and this is actually the engine that's used in that infinite loop Millenni. You can technically revisit old school like Lord Nightmon stuff. Lord Nightmon X still exists, just again ignored. There is a Lilithmon shenanigans, which is funny. I think Gil Growl, maybe as an engine is a fair dinkum engine. Perhaps maybe built different if you want to think of just how versatile it is.
No, it's had a lot of hits. It's not there. But I will say in Levy's case, if you're playing that out by an effect through Biting Crush or Rostrum, whichever the localization is that you have, if you're playing that into a Callus will win. So you've really got to know the turn player priority for that. If you mess that up, you're losing your big beast. You have to get your timings right. It is the most important thing for that deck.
If Levia is representing Dark Animal Levia, it's in Tats Lotto.
I'm happy to put it Tats. You're right.
Yeah, no Cerberus X makes a huge impact. And like it's a really good, like, you know, it used to be a really good deck and now it's just not. So is what it is.
All right, moving forward. Adventure Omni.
I think it's actually sleeper built different. My opinion on Adventure is that it's riding the cusp on someone breaking the deck. Like it really is. Yeah. I would say, well, I would argue then it's probably closer to where Beelstar is, just in terms of what it can do. I think the payoff is really scary. The whole way through, I think it's really good. Plus, on top of that, it also has a floodgate against its counterpart Alter-S in Goma. It's going to be really interesting to see where else it places once people have solved it. Yeah, I think that it's right next to right underneath Beelstar is where I would be putting it.
I, funny enough, think it's like, I agree with the closeness. I just think its engine's consistent enough you can even pivot to an Alter-S in the top end too, and that's what makes it built different.
Well, most people are doing both.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about purely just Omni,
then just on the Beelstar. Yeah.
In the place of Adventure, for sure. Nokia. If we're talking about Nokia Omni, I think it's not close to Alter-S.
Yeah.
No. I ran into 8001 Omni twice at the Sydney Regionals, and they were playing the Nokia Slam and Omni thing.
Yep. And
don't get me wrong, it's really powerful when you get out like the old Matt and Ty and you know, the Nokias and all that. It's very good. It will OTK. It can trash options. However, all of those people were basically playing Alter-S, just without some of the other accompanying pieces. So for me, because that Omni also has assembly, and I fucking hate that, it is kind of scary. It will bot deck things. It will blow things up. It is a very dangerous card. But it is like 9 memory you give your opponent to do that. It is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. It is a very scary deck. But if you do have Tamer Hate or you just are faster, it's sort of solved. It's nowhere near as scary as Alter-S, but it does have teeth.
Yep. Adventure's way more interesting. There's a lot of things you can do.
I agree.
Belphemon, most Gamba deck on the planet.
Yep.
Biggest Gamba apart from Dorbeck, I suppose.
I have lost to that deck on turn 0. So my opponent went first and was able to actually take me out of the game before I had a turn once. That was at its height before restrictions. It was phenomenal. I couldn't believe it. And I was cheering for him the whole time.
Belphemon also recently came topped. I think it was 2 regionals ago. I think it is forgotten, but still as powerful. I think people have just forgotten its power. It is true Gamba. Like, you live and breathe by what you trash. The biggest thing why I don't think it's built different and is a Tatsloto is because sadly it's relying on a Belphemon ace, and we're seeing that aces are losing favor because of just the sheer amount of memory it gives. It doesn't really have layers of protection to protect that ace. Once you get to the ace, it's a walking free memory for any deck, and so many decks can just Digivolve or get rid of it and reap what you have sowed. Another deck though I think is immediately built different is Xros Hearts.
Yep.
It's coming back in a big way.
I think
it's not abusing 4 Grav Crushes and 4 Blinding Rays anymore. It actually has cards it can use.
Yep.
It the fact that your Exodia board is Shoutmon X7 on top of a fucking Shoutmon X7. You just like
I just hate that design, man.
And you can just spit him back out when leaving. X-Cross again. Like it is so ridiculous that I wish that effect gets eroded. But you know, it's super competitive. It's got similar speeds to what we see up the top. And you can play it so differently. It's very adaptable. It's a really good deck into a best of 3. I don't think there's anything else that we need to say about that. I think it's just solid, worth a look into. Get
a Death X, punish the Tamers. Next.
All right, Ceresmon. It did get support in 81. I don't think it's there yet.
It's okay. It can do a thing. It's not strong enough.
I definitely think it's a top of skill issue, but it's missing something, which we know something is coming in the X12, but we'll get to that when the X12 comes in and whatnot.
Virus is coming.
Yeah. Hootie!
Probably
still
the most.
Scary.
Still scary.
It's the problem after the restriction. It's fine.
So. If we're talking about OTK, I don't think that's a deck anymore. This deck has become Hootie control. Yes, we've got the Imperialdramon and Imperial that's being teched into the top deck. I think you can still go Justy and play like super heavy options, and I think it'll do exceptionally well into what's up there. But it's not overpowered. Everything up the top here is just way better than Hootie is. You know, we'll still be seeing it being played. It's Hootie. It is what it is. You know.
I agree.
The control variant is going to be way better.
I think the control variant's strong. I think I've always favored the control variant over the OTK variant. You can still technically OTK, but Hootie, I think it's just because everyone just quickly dropped it and just like, we'll play everything else. I mean, like, there are a lot of other decks you can play, but I still think Hootie's solid. Like, it is good. It's got a lot of answers. And then if we're talking about Digimon effects, cool. Immunity saw that. Who cares? You run the Ryuji Justimon variant for control. You have access to all the options to deal with them. And some, if they've got a delay option, Justimon gets rid of it. And then you yourself are presenting immunity.
Yeah, we are in the age of toolbox options.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get better with dual cards.
I agree. Moving forward, rocks. I think
still
this is
fair
also
income.
I still think it's fair
hasn't
income.
actually moved at all. It got better with the promo, but people just swapped off for some reason. I don't know.
Yep, I agree. I think
Nothing much more to say about it, to be honest.
like I still think rocks is a solid deck. Just people are just ignoring it for some reason, and I don't know why.
Yep.
Genuinely don't know why.
The second player at regionals in Melbourne came second.
Yep.
Second came second. Yeah, good job, Eunice.
You got rocks for brains.
has still a bunch of unique options, so
Yep.
look into it.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing that does Digivolve bees.
Middle table.
It is
For sure.
mid-table. They can go into a vortex. It will ruin your day. Keep it in mind.
Yep.
Heavy Metal Dramon. Speaking of Runic, Heavy Metal Dramon was taken to the, I believe, Sydney Regis. He brought it.
Yep.
And I think he got stuck here.
Yeah, he got stuck. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he was still top 30 some. He did very, very well with it. So technically, it qualified. It's also worth pointing out that also today got revealed the new Heavy Metal Dramon
Yes.
card. So this is definitely something that you could put some time into investing and getting
100%.
those dividends now.
100%.
But it is unfortunately still just a product of the liberated gimmicks at this stage.
Yep.
It's fine.
It's still fun. You're gonna have a great time with it. Just don't expect to win.
Yep.
That's fair. All right. Down to our final few. This card that we're bringing up in conversation now, Magidramon, I think is still relevant. Actually does get some benefit and ability coming in with the 81 Gallant support. And people have just completely thrown it away and I think have forgotten about it. Similar to Levia, I think Magidra is there. Is it a fair income deck? Perhaps, because it abuses the Gil Growl. When we're talking about the Gil Growl engine, then Magidra can definitely be a fair income. And then you have the follow-up play of the 81 Gallant with Takato warping. It's there. But you can also then argue a high roll variant or a mid-table variant.
Look, it's mid-table. That particular Magidramon in question is mid-table. There is a version with the new one, which was sort of half heavy metal support with the Chaos Gallant loop that Guilmon Bread was doing, which he was very proud of. That's impressive as fuck.
Yeah.
Everyone's taking that kind of a build, so if you're just going to run that, it's not as efficient as it used to be, because you're not able to slam out 4 fucking rush Gils. So that's the main reason why that's gone, because it's not just cheating the entire time.
Yep.
Yeah, so Meggy, 81 Gallant, and Trinity Burst is a very interesting combo. It is being represented a little bit. Worth a look into. It's very fast. It can get through all of your security. Worth the time to look into it, for sure, especially considering we're getting very, very close to the next Royal Knight deck set. So definitely worth the look into, for sure.
Yeah. Moving forward, another option-focused deck, Sukumon.
Mid-table.
Yeah, so as sad as it is to admit, I did take Suku to Nationals. She's solid. She's good because we're talking about Digimon effects. She a very option-focused deck, but the ratios you run for her because of the options, just like how you do with Billstar, the problem is she's a bit more bricked than Billstar and Three Musketeers are, and sadly is very prone to Digivolve, like inherently flawed to it.
Yep.
Does survive battle though, which is surprising because you will naturally have barrier inheritable, so you would barrier and then maid mode will be able to trigger off of the barrier effect. So again, it has legs.
Yeah,
it's
missing
something.
It has some good things going for it, for sure. It option flexibility is great, but if we were to compare it to the other option heavy decks, it just doesn't have as many.
Yep.
The other problem is straight up, you get rid of the Rika. There goes like 2/3 of the options you can use.
Yep.
Yep. Very true. It's missing a wave of support. We are going to be getting it in the future, no doubt.
It's missing the plugins that just say if you have a Renamon, Kyubimon, Taomon, or Sukuryamon in name, ignore color restrictions. Just that's all it needs. And then it's a fair dinkum minimum. But because they're color locking the plugins, which is smart.
Yep.
Because they're color locking the plugins.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right on the cusp of
on the cusp of greatness. You know, you're so great that you just got grated by the greatness. Well, he shall return soon. This allows us to yap about another card. Puppets.
Puppets most assuredly is minimum fair dinkum. Minimum. Yeah. Still just rips things up and turns them inside out. All that good stuff. Puppets are puppets, man.
Yeah. Puppets are puppets. There is an argument. I know some people say, oh, could this be a built different deck? I disagree. In the highest of high rolls, it is. But it has inherent weaknesses where it's a tough match. Like, if you don't see your stuff, and this happened to me locals yesterday, I went 1-3 with puppets. And I lost to Dark Masters, I lost to Gallantmon, and then the other loss was to Shinegreymon. And fair enough, it was mostly because like I just didn't see my Rons or my Mirais. And for a deck that searches so heavily, it was miserable. It's assuredly a fair dinkum deck. There are decks that just clear your security quickly. We're talking about trashing security as well. It's it's in a weird spot.
She loses to Crimson Blaze, and if we have a look at some of the best decks right up here, red.
Yep.
You look at even some of the ones in mid-table, red. Like you're just gonna be offline.
Yep.
And you're gonna be punished. And what's also really funny is that Medusa herself, that particular one up there on the board, if you create 1,000 tokens, she can just go, oh cool, you're neg DPing me to oblivion. I'm just gonna delete your token over and over and over again until you have nothing left. Then I go.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
That's just really funny. That's not a once per turn. I don't know why that's the case, but it is.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a solid deck. But it does have its inherent weaknesses that are just very, very exposed and can get rid of very quickly.
But it's definitely the only yellow deck that can play like a red deck.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Jupiter would sort of give a run for its money.
Wholly, completely, and utterly yellow. No color splash.
Yeah, true. That's true. Finally, come down to now. To make space, I'm being a cheeky little Geo, and I'm moving my build star to build different because this is my list at the end of the day, so it's gonna be built different. So I had to. I just saw it there, and I'm like, nah, we're chucking it up there. But we saved the best deck for last.
Yes,
and
arguably probably the meta-defining deck.
This is the meta-defining deck. I agree.
Tundra, I think you agree with us on this one. We actually agreed on this, I think, mostly unanimously at the start.
Yeah. We
certainly did.
Yeah, we were looking through the list and we were like, obviously we had bits of notes, but we had to save this deck for last because
of course
you always save the best for last. Tundra and Guz, shall we reveal to the world what's the best deck in the format?
Of course.
You guys
Everybody needs to know what's coming.
You have to be able to deal with this deck. It is bananas. Guys, I'll let you explain it, but it is the Big Ooks himself.
It is the Big Digimon deck. Now, in case anybody doesn't know, we have a tournament organizer down here, TAC Games, and what the leader of that particular tournament organization, she used to play Big Uko. In fact, she played it so well that she didn't take a loss at all. In a variety of matches that were had, including winning the regionals that she was hosting, which was incredible. And since no one was able to beat her, she's basically had to just retire and just remain as an organizer. No one has been able to play Big Uko like she has. She is the predominant undefeated big Uko champion, and literally any one of us could run up with any deck and she still just beats us silly and sideways. If you have not practiced against big Uko, you need to, because if someone else can figure out this deck, you are all in trouble.
And if you are wondering if we're joshing, we're not. Big Uko, by the way, we're talking about a meta that is tamer reliant. Big Uko is genuinely the perfect answer.
Yup. And you only need 5 Ukomons.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And you know what? We didn't even need to say any of this.
Nope.
Because just look at him.
Yeah.
It's Uko, man.
He's been aura farming since day one.
Absolutely. Because of him, Louis and the other Ukos got restricted. It's just big Uko time. That's going to be a number one defining list. But coming to a close, this is our prediction list. Any final thoughts before we start to wrap it up? We're looking at where Digimon are placed. Again, Tundra, just to fill you in, I have decided to assert my authority and put Buildstar into Built Different because I'm making it Built Different, and this is my list. Gosh darn it! But if we look at the rest of the things, any final changes, any things that you feel like could be shifted around? Because ultimately, I do agree with a lot of the placement. There are decks that are just going to find themselves mid-table because they have answers. But again, with the caveat of they can find themselves winning. They're just a bit reliant.
Look, I don't really have too many notes at this stage outside of the next time that we do one of these. We're probably definitely going to have to keep a better eye on the time.
Yes. Thankfully for like the mid-tier, mid-meta update, which again we'll do as the meta progresses halfway point, it will be a lot shorter because it will just be a quick, any changes or are our takes still the same? Hey, we noticed this deck was actually outperforming, yada yada, and shifts around. But it was definitely a long watch. Tundra, final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, it's just going to be, we're all looking forward to building stuff, playing it. Jira's going to upload videos about new deck techs, funky shit. Keep your eye out on it. And that's all.
All right, perfect. And we're going to move away to the end of today's broadcast. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for teaching me that word. It's now stuck in my brain forever. But I appreciate everyone that has managed to sit through and watch it. I will be doing my darndest to get chapter stamps throughout the entire video. So if you're looking for your specific list and the thoughts we shared about it will be there. But that wraps it up. We'll be updating this in the middle of the meta. And before we do sign off, Guz, where can we find you? What can we do? What's happening in your life? In your world? Well,
I won't get into that, but what I will tell you is that you can find me anywhere where social media tends to exist or where I've created an account at Guz the Substitute or on Twitter as Guz_substitute. That is the other way that you can find me, and also probably by using the collab feature or a link down in the description below.
Fantastic. And Tundra, sending it to you. What's happening? Where can we find you? Anything cool?
So obviously no big social media presence as much as these guys do, but Gilmon Bread and myself are both Aussie Collectibles TOs. Please come down to the store.
Hey yo.
We have a really great Digimon community, ourselves included. We've got pre-releases, we've got all that stuff going on. Just a small little plug.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get to all of that big stuff and content creation and all that stuff eventually, but that is where you will find me.
No worries. I guess I'll put a link to your company in links down below, and sadly not sponsored, but you know what? A plug's a plug nonetheless. Thank you again for both of you joining me today. Thank you again, the audience, for watching and sitting through. If you managed to get through this entire lengthy, detailed breakdown, I applaud you. Please leave a comment on any of the moments or any points you agree, disagree, or any takes you might have. Leave a like, and that helps me quite a ton. But
if you made it this far in the video, comment Beelstar X Uwu down in the comments.
True. Let's go. But that's us signing off. Thank you again. See you all later. Bye.
See ya.